A very warm good evening to everyone. I hope you can hear my voice clear enough. I welcome all of you to Civil Service Achievers Point. If you can hear my voice, please write yes in the comment section so that I can proceed with the class. Those who are live, please write yes in the comment section. Okay. I hope it's clear enough and the sound is decent enough for all of you to hear, right? Okay. Thank you so much, everyone. So I welcome all of you to Civil Service Achievers Point, and as you know that we are conducting a live session. So since this is open for all, I will just take 2 minutes from all of you to give a brief about the institute. It's Civil Service Achievers Point, and you know about our entire programs. We have conducted a lot of programs right from 2018 onwards, and we have around 6 centers in the offline mode and also 2 centers in the online mode across the state of Assam. And in the recently declared result of APSC last year, we have around 34 results, and all the names of the candidates have been given in here, and you can check it out. 5 of our faculties had also cracked the civil service, the prestigious APSC exam last year. And these were some of the snapshots of the recent mock interviews being conducted by an institute. And you can go through this photographs where we have also shown the felicitation of the last to last, it is 2016 result of APSC. Okay, these are some of the classrooms. This is the Barwari Center, the head office of our institute. On the right hand side, you can see our Beltala Center. We have the Silchar Center on the left-hand side and also the Tinsukia Center on the right-hand side image. You can check it out. After that, we also have collaborations with Cotton University and Sonapur College. You can check out the centers. And some of the projects and everything, you can see that we have done a lot of work for socio-economic upliftment of the poor people, mainly coming from economic weaker section, for whom we have given a lot of courses for a very subsidized rate and almost free, in collaboration with many of the organizations like Coal India Limited, Star Cement. So recently, we also got collaborated with Royal Global University to guide their students for the upcoming civil service examinations. Beyond that, we have also conducted more than hundreds of seminars across the state in the last 3 years to more than 5,000 students, and with a great positive response. Some of the pictures I would like to share with all of you. So I would also like to tell you about our app, that is Civil Service Achievers Point CSAP app, that you can check in the Play Store, also available in the Apple iStore. And there you will find a lot of exciting courses where we have already uploaded 500 plus video lectures hours. We have also uploaded a lot of test series along with various smart books with a compilation of around 3,000 pages of notes in the form of PDF. Also, you'll get daily current affairs notes and answer writing sessions in our Telegram channel along with on our website. Okay, so this is some of the PDFs that you can pause the video and check it out. What are the things that we have for all of you in the app? Okay, so these are some of the mock test series. You can do check it out. Okay, and these are some of the video lectures we have all uploaded in the app. Also, I would like to share one information with all of you that on 27th of this month, as you know that we have launched the Toppers Talk webinar series. On 27th of this month, in our Facebook page, we are conducting a live series with Assistant Commissioner of Majuli, Himadri Bora. She will be live to share her experience and motivate the youths of this region on the preparation of civil services. So please do join and do share the good word with all your friends, and do like and subscribe our channel along with the page and the app. And also the last information that I'd like to give you is about the 27th of this month. We are also having a scholarship test. Okay, and you are getting a lot of exciting discounts if you can perform well and participate in the scholarship exam. So there are also various optional subjects. You can just check it out. If you want any information, you can do call in the given numbers in the image. Let us now quickly move to today's lecture series, and that is your Directive Principles of State Policy. As you all know that we had already declared to you guys that we are conducting a live session on the chapter Directive Principles of State Policy. Okay, so before we start with this chapter, I would just like to know from all of you that what do you think about the Indian polity lecture, or how do you want this lecture to be conducted? Okay, you can just share your insights to me in the comment section. How do you want this class to proceed? Okay, and what do you basically expect from me in this live session? Should I, because I have decided to cover the uh, Lakshmikant book, okay, because that is one of like the Bible for your preparation of civil services. I hope you all know about it, okay. And apart from the Lakshmikant, I would like to tell you that you should be also reading about the class 11 NCRT of your uh, the class 11 NCRT, which is the Indian Constitution at Work. Okay, so if you read that book, you will definitely be very comfortable with the ideas and the philosophy behind the constitution of our country, which was formed during the 1946 to 1949 time period after independence. And you'll be also comfortable with a lot of logics and rationality behind the formation of this constitution of India. All right, so I would like to let me know that if you are comfortable with me sharing the book of Lakshmikant and covering the entire chapter, okay, one by one. So let us go ahead. Let me just take out the first page of this chapter, and that is chapter number 8, Directive Principles of State Policy. So here, as you know, that this chapter, why I have picked up was because a lot of students wanted me to cover this chapter first, and we can also go ahead with uh, covering other chapters too at the same time. All right, so the directive principles of state policy, when we talk about this chapter, okay, basically we come to see that there are certain words like directive, okay, and then state policy. What is the meaning of these words like directive and state policy? Okay, we also know that there is also a chapter called as fundamental rights in our constitution, in the part 3 of the Constitution of India. Okay, now this is what, this is part 4 of the Indian Constitution, and that we know that the constitution is divided into 25 parts, right? That means 25 chapters, and out of those 25 chapters, the part 4 deals with directive principles of state policy, and part 3 deals with fundamental rights of the Indian constitution. Okay, so if I tell you, what do we understand by this fundamental right and DPSP, just a basic idea, if you let me know. Okay, if I tell you this fundamental rights, okay, this fundamental rights is nothing but but they are what? They are rights given to whom? They are rights given to the individuals. Okay, they are rights given to the individuals or citizens of the country. Okay, they are rights or to given to individuals or citizens, and it is a protection which the citizens get against whom? Against the state. All right, against the state. So you can see that when we will discuss about the fundamental rights topic, okay, we will see that these are also rights, but for whom? For the individual or the citizens. But these are also certain directions. Okay, these are also certain directions against the state. Okay, because fundamental rights are being given to whom? To the citizens. That means what? That means the state's power is limited. Okay, state power is limited. For example, if the fundamental right asks the state not to discriminate the citizens of the country based on certain factors like sex, religion, race, okay, so so there the state is actually getting a direction, but in the negative side. Okay, so it is like a negative direction for the state, that the state cannot do certain, or it cannot use its power to take up certain activities. All right, so it is like a negative direction that is given for the state. Okay, but when we talk about the directive principles of state policy, it is what? It is also a direction. Okay, it is also a direction, but this direction is given to whom? To the state again. Okay, to the state again, but this is a positive direction. This is a positive direction. And this directive principles of state policy is a positive direction which is given to state to do what? To do welfare of the citizens, to do welfare, for the welfare of the citizens. Okay, so the constitution is asking the state to bring certain, okay, to bring certain what? To bring certain positive uh, policies or welfare for the people of the country. Okay, so you understand the basic difference between fundamental rights and DPSP is that the DPSP is a positive direction given to the state for the to bring out welfare for the country, for the citizens of the country. But fundamental rights are again directions, okay, but they are negative directions, stopping the state from doing certain activities, okay, and protecting the rights of the individuals or the citizens of the country. So I hope you are clear with this, you are clear with this topic. All right. If any doubt, you can just let me know in the comment section. Okay. Now, let me tell you that, for example, if these are certain directions, okay, then why did the founding fathers of the Constitution of India had to create two different chapters? Okay, that is one in the name of fundamental rights and one in the name of directive principles of state policy. Okay, what was the requirement to create two different chapters? And also, when we see the difference between fundamental right and DPSP, we see that fundamental rights are like negative directions for the state, but DPSP are positive directions. The state is being asked to do certain activities. Okay, then in that case, we know that fundamental rights are guaranteed rights. Do you know that? It is a guaranteed right. Okay, that means, or it is justiciable in nature. Okay, it is justiciable in nature. That means what? That if the fundamental rights are violated by the state, the citizen can directly go to the court of law, okay, under article 32 and 226. 32 is for Supreme Court and 226 is for High Court. Okay, that we can discuss in the fundamental rights chapter in details. But these rights are guaranteed. Okay, that means if it is violated, you can directly go to court. But what about the DPSP? What about the DPSP? It is not guaranteed. Okay, it is not guaranteed, neither it is justified. Okay, neither it is justified. What was the requirement to do this? Okay, certain rights, because you see that DPSP is also a direction to the state, okay, to protect certain rights of the citizens only. Because when we will now go into the articles, okay, in details, we will see that these articles which are present in DPSP chapter are also talking about rights. That means right to work. Okay, it talks about right to work. Okay, it talks about right for the upliftment, of SC/ST, for example. Okay, are these not rights? These are also rights. But then, in fact, before, when our right to education was not a fundamental right, in fact, in that time period, even our right to education was also within DPSP. Okay, was it not a right till 86th Constitutional Amendment Act, or till 2002, if we say, because this our Article 21A, which is right to education, it was brought by 86th Constitutional Amendment Act. Okay, so tell me one thing. So if these are also rights and fundamental rights are also rights, then why this difference? Why this difference of justiciability or enforceability in the court of law? Can you tell me? Now there is a logic behind it. Okay, there has to be a logic behind it, definitely. Okay, now what can be the logic behind it? Let us quickly look at it. Okay, now what happened, that when our founding fathers were building up or making up the constitution, at that time period, the founding fathers were thinking about different rights of the citizens. Okay, now when we talk about rights, there can be civil rights. Okay, there can be civil rights, there can be political rights, there can be economic rights of the citizens, there can be, in fact, social rights also, isn't it? Or there can be any other rights. Now, when we are talking about the civil rights, political rights, economic rights, social rights, now you imagine that what are the civil and the political rights. For example, the civil and political rights will talk about right to equality. Okay, that everyone needs to be treated equally. Okay, then that no one should be discriminated. Okay, discrimination should not be there. Okay, it should not be there. Now these are what? Civil or political rights. Okay, or right to religion, okay, equality within religion, that everyone should have equal rights to practice, profess, or propagate their own religion. Okay, so these are what? Civil or political rights. But when we talk about economic rights, for example, everyone should get equal pay, equal wage. Okay, everyone should get a job, for example. Are you getting it? Or what can be the social rights? For example, you can talk about that, for example, Article 44, Uniform Civil Code, that all the personal laws of Islam, along with Hindus and everyone, should be same. Okay, the divorce and the marriage rules and everything, it should be same. Then there can be about the SC/ST people, upliftment of all the entire community of SC/ST. Okay, so these are all your social rights, for example. Getting it? So now this, when we see that there are different kinds of rights and the constitution has to safeguard these rights for the citizens of the country, the founding fathers had realized that it was not possible to give these rights to the citizens of the country at that time period. Are you getting it? Can you give a job to all the people during 1947? Okay, because the government did not have that amount of resources. Are you getting it? Can you interfere in the personal laws of all the communities across all religion in that time period? No, it was not possible to directly interfere in the Islamic customary laws or the Hindu customary laws at the same time. Okay, so at that time it was not possible to neither give all the like or follow all the directions whatever is mentioned in the directive principles of state policy. Okay, because the directive principles of state policy talks about that there should be equal redistribution of resources for all. But you tell me that in 1947, was it possible for the government? Was it possible for the government to give education to everyone? There was no infrastructure. There was not sufficient resources. So अगर उस time इसको justiciable or guaranteed right बना देता, okay, guaranteed right बना देता, then everyone would have gone to the court of law and government के पास और developmental policy implement करने के लिए time ही नहीं बचता. ठीक है? So इसीलिए this economic and social rights, okay, of the citizens were put under a different chapter, and it was made what? Non-justiciable and non-guaranteed rights. Okay, but these are also rights. DPSP is also, it talks about the rights, okay, of the citizens of the country, but these are non-justiciable and non-guaranteed. But on the other hand, the civil and political rights were made what? Justiciable and guaranteed. Why? Because सबको equally treat करने के लिए आपको कोई infrastructure की जरूरत नहीं है. Are you getting it? You do not need any extra resources in order to not to discriminate everyone. Okay, so these were made what? Fundamental. These were guaranteed. Okay, these were guaranteed by the constitution itself कि अगर ये violate होता है आपका, so you can directly go to the court of law. Okay, so I hope you have understood the basic difference, the basic philosophy behind a fundamental right and directive principles of state policy. Okay, I hope you have understood this part. Okay, is everything going right? Are you with me, everyone? If you are with me, please write yes in the comment section. If you are able to hear my voice correctly, decent enough for you to understand. Is it too low? Is the voice too low? Can you just let me know in the comment section quickly? Okay. Okay, so I hope it's not that low, right? The voice is not low, right? Okay. Thank you, everyone. Okay, so I hope you have understood the basic feature between fundamental right and directive principles of state policy. Okay, and you have understood the basic difference, why fundamental right was made justiciable or guaranteed rights by the constitution, and why directive principles of state policy were not made guaranteed or not enforceable under the court of law. Okay, so let us now move ahead with the chapter. Okay, so directive principles of state policy talks about what? part 4 of the constitution. It is in the part 4, okay, and it is covering the article range from 36 to 51, because you know that from 12 to 35 it is the fundamental rights, and then from 36 to 51 it is the, you need to remember this, okay, it is the directive principles of state policy. And then 51A, okay, or part 4A is your fundamental duties, okay, it is your fundamental duties, which we can cover in a different lecture. Now, in we also need to know that from where, as we know that in our constitution, a lot of features have been borrowed from many other different constitutions across the world. Okay, so if we ask you that from where this DPSP has been borrowed, and we can know that it has been borrowed from the Spanish constitution. Okay, or that the framers of the constitution borrowed this idea, sorry, from the Irish constitution of 1937, which had been copied from Spanish constitution. Okay, so Irish had copied actually from the Spanish constitution, but India, our founding fathers, okay, of the constitution, or makers of the constitution, had borrowed the features of DPSP from the Irish constitution. So if they ask you, your answer will be Irish constitution. Okay, so Dr. B.R. Ambedkar described these principles as novel features of the Indian constitution, and directive principles along with fundamental rights contain the philosophy of the constitution and is the soul of the constitution. Okay, and Graven Austin had described DPSP and FR as the conscience of the constitution. All right, why? Now, why so much of importance in these two chapters? If I ask you, okay, if I ask you a question, because whatever other policies are being framed or formed, okay, everything has to be as per the provisions enshrined in these two particular chapters, that is FR and DPSP. Okay, that suppose you make a policy called as MG Narega, okay, MG Narega, where you are providing right to work for the people, okay, or you are giving a Pradhan Mantri Awas Yojana, okay, or you are bringing it, for example, Ayushman Bharat, health insurance for all, okay, health insurance for all, or you are bringing a Matritva Sahyog Yojana, okay, you are bringing a Matritva Sahyog Yojana for the benefits of the maternity or the mothers or the lactating mothers. Okay, so under all these type of schemes, you see that these all policies are being guided by DPSP. Okay, and you see that all the policies are in the other parts of the constitution, it is having the concise of DPSP along with the fundamental rights. Okay, and in order to your implement the directive principles of state policy, government comes with different acts and policies, all right, in order to meet the welfare needs of the vulnerable sections of the people. Okay, so that is why so much of importance, the noble feature of Indian constitution, it has been said as a noble feature by B.R. Ambedkar. It is said as a soul of the constitution, or a philosophy behind the constitution. Okay, because DPSP gives the philosophy behind all other parts too. Okay, that if for, because it is a direction, the constitution is giving a direction to the states to meet the welfare demands or welfare needs of the citizens of the country. Okay, how to remove inequality within the society, how to remove or eliminate poverty from the society. Okay, you can get the solution in the chapter of part 4 of the Constitution of India, and that is why the fundamental rights in the DPSP are called as the conscience of the constitution of a country. Okay, let us now quickly go into the features of the directive principles of state policy. The phrase directive principles of state policy denotes the ideals that states should keep in mind. So I've already told you that it is like the ideals or the idea that the state should keep in their mind while formulating any policies or enacting laws. This is a very, very important part. Okay, and these are the constitutional instructions. Okay, because these instructions are given by the constitution, it is mentioned in the part 4 of the constitution. Okay, and according to article 6, the term state in part 4 has the same meaning as in part 3 dealing with fundamental rights. So when we are starting with article from 36, because you know that 36 to 51 is the chapter 4 DPSP, and 36 deals with the definition of a state. Because when I tell you that DPSP is giving the direction, that is the constitution giving the direction to the state, first of all you have to understand who is a state, right? So it is the same as per the definition of article 12 in fundamental rights. Okay, so if you just go back and read article 12, you will just see that state means the union executive, okay, the union legislature, the all the state executives, all the state legislatures, then all the local authorities, all right, all the local authorities or any other bodies, okay, that is working under the control of government of India, okay, within India or even outside India also, okay, all these bodies will also come under the definition of state. So you can give a definitely you can give a reading of this in article 12, okay. So all the parliament, that is Lok Sabha, Rajya Sabha, will come under definition of state. Government of India will come under the definition of state. Assam State Assembly will also come under definition of state. Assam government will also come under definition of state, along with local authorities like all the panchayats, municipalities, okay, or any other bodies that is working for the under the government of India, okay, or financed by the government of India or government of state within India or outside India also. So okay, so all this will come, and this can be an important point for your prelims question, okay. In prelims you might be asked about this, all right. Then the directive principles are like what? Now again, you see here that there it also resembles the instrument of instructions enumerated in Government of India Act 1935. I'll take up a important lecture from all the like the making of the Indian Constitution, okay. We'll discuss about all the acts and the chartered acts and all the regulating acts which actually helped in the making of the Constitution of India. And within that chapter, we'll discuss about Government of India Act 1935. It was a very important act because maximum features in our constitution has been borrowed from this also. And in Government of India Act, there was a similar chapter like DPSP, which was the instrument of instructions, okay. So DPSP resembles, in fact, this can be also asked in your prelims exam, okay. So the directive principles are like the instruments of instructions, which were at that time it was instructed to whom? The Governor General or to the governors of the colonies of India by the British government, okay. So it is representing the similar pattern of Government of India Act 1935. All right, now you again see that the directive principles consider a very, very comprehensive, because it talks about all the different programs of a modern democratic state, okay. It talks about Panchayati Raj, okay. Article 40 will see it is talking about the ground level, that every village should have a panchayat, okay. It is talking about a political program also. Are you getting it? It is also talking about social rights. It is talking about SC/ST. It is talking about early childhood care. That means from 0 to 6 years of all the babies, okay. It is a responsibility of the state to look after them, okay. It is also talking about the economic rights. So you see that it is a comprehensive package for the welfare of the citizens of the country, okay. And it aims at realizing the high ideals of justice. And when we talk about justice, it is talking about the social justice, okay, that the citizens should their welfare should be justified, okay. Everyone should be equally treated. There should be reservation policy also, okay, that if someone is socially and educationally backward, the citizens of the country has to get the reservation. Let me give you a brief understanding here, okay. Let me give you a brief understanding here. For example, again, after independence, when the first government, okay, when it was formed in 1951, for example, the first government, they had to face a major dilemma. Why? Because there was a case of Champakaran Dorai Rajan case of 1951. Please understand this carefully, okay. There was a case of Champakaran. There was a lady, okay. There was Champakaran Dorai Rajan case versus Union of India 1951. Okay, in this case, what happened? That Article 15 talks about, that is a fundamental right. It talks about that the state should not discriminate based on caste. Okay, that based on caste you cannot discriminate. Okay, but then at that time government was talking about bringing what? Reservation policies. Government was talking about bringing up reservation policies. So this lady will talk about that you cannot bring reservation, because if you bring reservation, it will violate Article 15, and you cannot violate Article 15 of the citizens of the country, because it is justified, it is guaranteed. But DPSP is not guaranteed, because in Article 46, which is a part of DPSP, because you see 36 to 51 is DPSP, and Article 46 talks about the right of SC and ST. Okay, and Article 15 talks about that you cannot discriminate based on caste. So you see this 15 and 46 is both contradictory in nature. Okay, it is both contradictory in nature. So the government was in a huge dilemma that what to do. So if we need to bring reservation policies, we will have to violate Article 14, and that is why, okay, and that is why there was the first Constitutional Amendment Act, first Constitutional Amendment Act of 1951, and Article 15, Clause 4 was added for the first time. Okay, and what does Article 15 Clause 4 says? That you can discriminate, but that discriminate will be what? A positive discrimination. Okay, but only on two grounds. Okay, it talked about only on two grounds, that you can discriminate positively to a section of people only if they are socially, okay, socially and educationally backward, and educationally backward. Getting it? So that means what? In this case, the verdict that came out was that in order to implement DPSP, you can change fundamental rights. Okay, because this was for a good cause. This was for a good cause, because you had to bring the reservation policy for the welfare of SC and ST, because the states were being directed by the constitution under Article 46 of DPSP. Okay, so when the government were in a dilemma of this, so they had to change the fundamental rights in the form of the first Constitutional Amendment Act, and they added a clause 4 to Article 15. Okay, and where they said that you can discriminate positively to a section of people, but provided they are socially and educationally backward. Okay, so this was added in the first Constitutional Amendment Act. Okay, so just a small story I just shared with you, that this is how actually the like when the fundamental rights and DPSP comes to a conflict, this is how it started to evolve. Okay, so as of 1951, you can say that DPSP was given more importance or primary importance to fundamental right, because in order to implement DPSP, you were changing fundamental rights. Okay, and this was after Champakaran Dora Rajan case of 1951, Champakaran Dora Rajan versus Union of India case of 1951. Okay, so I hope you have understood this well. So after you see that obviously the DPSP is talking about the welfare state and not that of a police state. Okay, that the government needs to do or look after the welfare of the citizens. Okay, then we have already talked that they are non-justiciable. Okay, and why they were made non-justiciable and fundamental rights were made justiciable? Because we talked about the resources, right? Because we talk about civil rights and political rights, and we talk about social and economic rights. It was not possible for the government to make these rights justiciable because government के पास उतना resources उस time तक नहीं था. ओके अगर एजुकेशन सबको देना था तो उस टाइम गवर्नमेंट के पास इतने स्कूल्स नहीं थे, इतने टीचर्स ट्रेन प्रोफेसर्स ट्रेन टीचर्स नहीं थे. ओके सो अगर उसको फंडामेंटल राइट बना देता, जस्टिसेबल बना देता, तो सब लोग जिसको भी एजुकेशन नहीं मिल रहा सब लोग जाके कोर्ट पहुंच जाएंगे एंड गवर्नमेंट को उस कोर्ट के चक्कर में ही फिर घुसना पड़ेगा एंड दे विल नॉट बी एबल टू डू एनी type of developmental policies. Okay, so you have understood this. All right, so then Article 37, you see here that it is not justiciable and that is not legally enforceable. Okay, but fundamental rights is legally enforceable. Therefore the government, okay, and government means central, state and local, cannot be compelled to implement them. Nevertheless, the Constitution Article 37 itself says that these principles are fundamental in governance of the country, and it shall be the duty of the state to apply these principles in making laws. Okay, so it's very beautifully written that 36 talks about the definition of state, and 37 talks that this chapter is fundamental in governance. Okay, because what is governance? That all the policies and the laws that will be brought by the government will have to be referring to the principles or the directions or the guidelines that this chapter is providing to the governments, okay, or the state under the Constitution of India. Okay, but though it is not justiciable in nature, it helps the court in examining and determining the constitutional validity of a law. The Supreme Court has ruled many a times that in determining the constitutionality of any law, if a court finds that the law in question seeks to give effect of a directive principle, it may consider such law to be reasonable in relation to Article 14 and thus save such law from unconstitutionality. Okay, now यहाँ पे आप एक चीज बहुत बढ़िया से समझिए. ठीक है, this is very very important. Now there is a difference. ठीक है, आप पहले देखिए कि फंडामेंटल राइट ऑन वन साइड एंड डीपीएसपी ऑन द अदर साइड. ओके, नाउ बीच में कौन है? सुप्रीम कोर्ट. Why Supreme Court? Because Supreme Court is the guarantor of the Indian Constitution. It is considered as the guardian of the Indian Constitution. अभी आता है एक लॉ, और लॉ मतलब क्या? कोई एक्ट. ओके, एनी पर्टिकुलर एक्ट. under the domain of Supreme Court. Now Supreme Court को बताना है कि ये act okay valid है या नहीं है, it is either valid or non-valid. Then Supreme Court can use fundamental rights to declare any law as not valid. Okay, that means what? That means what? Any law cannot violate fundamental right. Why? Because it is guaranteed. Because it is guaranteed or it is justiciable. Okay, but Supreme Court cannot use DPSP to declare any law as not valid. Getting it? Because it is not justified or justiciable or it is not guaranteed. Okay, मान लीजिए कोई लॉ लाते हैं सरकार और उसमें सपोज डीपीएसपी को वायलेट कर रहा है. ओके मतलब डायरेक्टली वायलेट नहीं कर रहा है, लेकिन मान लीजिए कुछ डीपीएसपी को डायरेक्टली फॉलो नहीं हो रहा है, तो उस लॉ को वैलिड डिक्लेयर नहीं कर सकते. लेकिन अगर ऐसा सिचुएशन फंडामेंटल राइट्स के साथ हुआ तो डायरेक्टली वो एक्ट विल बी व्हाट? डायरेक्टली दैट एक्ट विल बी व्हाट? इट विल बी not valid. Why? Because fundamental rights are justified. But in the positive sense, Supreme Court can use DPSP to declare any law as valid, okay, if it is being implemented to implement the DPSP. Okay, and similarly, obviously, they can also use fundamental rights to declare any law as valid if it is implementing any of the fundamental rights. ठीक है, लेकिन इसमें और एक चीज एडिशनल जो आता है, दैट इज अबाउट द जुडिशियल रिव्यू एंड द बेसिक स्ट्रक्चर ऑफ डॉक्ट्रिन. Okay, because Supreme Court with a lot of cases they have come up and said that in fact, for example, Article 50 in DPSP, we will talk about it a little bit time later, that it talks about separation of power. Okay, that we have three organs: executive, legislature, and judiciary in the organs of the government setup, and there should be separation of power between the three. Okay, and Supreme Court has declared that this is a basic structure doctrine. It is a basic feature of the Constitution. Now, if it is declared as basic structure doctrine, okay, and if any law now violates this Article 50, then this will also not be applicable. Okay, then also you can use this article to declare that law as not valid. Okay, you can use it not valid provided the Supreme Court declares it as the basic structure doctrine. Let me give you an example. We had a bill of NJAC, National Judicial Appointment Commission Bill, which became an act later on because it was passed by both the houses and the president had also given an assent to it. But this was affecting the independence of judiciary. Okay, and which is directly related to Article 50. Okay, independence of judiciary is highlighting the separation of power theory, that the judiciary and the executive and legislature should be separated. Okay, but under this bill, there were certain features which were actually violating this independence of judiciary because there was direct interference of the executive on the judiciary as per this law. And Supreme Court had used this Article 50 and declaring it as a basic structure doctrine, and they had used DPSP to declare NJSA as not valid and null and void, and this this act was repealed from the field of law. Okay, so I hope you've understood that you can even use DPSP and fundamental rights to declare any law as valid or not valid at the same time. Okay, but since fundamental rights are directly justiciable and guaranteed, okay, so if any law is violating fundamental right, Supreme Court can immediately declare that law as not valid or null and void. Okay, but through directive principles of state policy, Supreme Court can use the DPSP to declare any law as valid. Okay, but it cannot directly nullify a law if it is not fulfilling the needs of DPSP. But if Supreme Court declares any feature of DPSP as basic structure doctrine, and if any particular law is violating it, then DPSP can be also used to declare any law as null and void or invalid or not valid. Okay, so I hope you have understood this point well enough. If you have not understood, please later on, please do try to go back and repeat this section of the video. Okay, now let us move ahead to the classification of the directive principles of state policy. All right. Good evening, Sanjeev. I hope you're doing good. Okay. I hope everything is going good and you are understanding. Did you understand this concept? Let me just ask you. Did you understand this concept that I just explained it to you? How many of you had understood? Please write yes in the comment section. How many of you did understand the concept that I just now explained? Can you please write yes in the comment section if you have understood? I'm waiting for your comment. Can you please write yes if you've understood? Okay. All right. Thank you everyone for your response. Okay. Thank you. So let us now move ahead to the classification of the directive principles of state policy. Okay. Now, these directive principles of state policy are actually classified into three parts. Okay. Some articles are in the socialistic version. Some are Gandhian. Some articles are following Gandhian principles, while some articles are following the liberal intellectual principles. Okay. So let us now go into the details of it. So these socialistic principles are those articles which follow the ideology of socialism. Okay, so they lay down the framework of a democratic social state, aim at providing social and economic justice, and set the path towards welfare state. So if I tell you what is the ideology of socialism, it is somewhere between the ideology of capitalism and communism. Okay, so communism is what directly the all the resources are controlled by the community, and capitalism resources are controlled by private players. Okay, communism do not believe in private properties, but they capitalism do believe in private properties. Communism talks about what equal redistribution of resources, everyone should be equal, but capitalism talks about maximization of profit. Okay, but socialism is somewhere between capitalism and communism, where the welfare of the citizens are not looked after by the community, by the state. Okay, it is looked after by the state, and they will look after the welfare of the people. So article 38, okay, if we go into, because we are going article wise, okay, 36 talks about the definition of state, 37 talks about what, about the non-justiciability nature, but about the fundamental nature of DPSP in the field of governance. Article 38 talks about what, the welfare and equal redistribution of resources of all. Okay, it talks about to promote welfare of the people by securing a social order, okay, and in the form of meeting the justice in all social, economic, and political. Okay, in order to reduce the inequalities in income, status, facilities, and opportunities. This is very, very important. So article 38 talks about what, your welfare of all. That means equal redistribution of resources. Okay, so for example, if we talk about different laws brought forward by the government of India after independence, like Land Ceiling Act or Land Tenancy Act. Okay, through those acts, for example, if you are having 1,000 acres of land, okay, and if there is a ceiling put by the government that a person can hold maximum 100 acres of land, then a person who is having 1,000 acres of land, from him or her 900 acres of land will be withdrawn. Okay, and those 900 acres will be distributed to equally to the people who are landless laborers. Okay, so you see that there is equal equal distribution of resources happening. Okay, and this is as per article 38, which talks about to promote the welfare of the people, okay, equally. Then if we move ahead with article 39, so you understand, so since this article is talking about welfare and equal redistribution of resources, so definitely it will come under what, socialism, because socialism also talks about the welfare of the citizens, by whom, by the state. Okay, then if we go ahead with article 39, it talks about the right to adequate means of livelihood for all citizens. Now you see, you try to understand the philosophy behind this article. Okay, you try to understand the philosophy behind this article and try to relate to the ideology of socialism. Okay, that right to adequate means of livelihood for all citizens. Okay, that there should be a standard of lifestyle, or at least a decent amount of the basic necessities should be fulfilled for all the citizens of the country. Is it not again talking about the welfare? For example, adequate means of livelihood के लिए आपको आपको गैस की कनेक्शन चाहिए, ठीक है, इसीलिए हमारे पास उज्ज्वला स्कीम है. अब हमें एक अच्छा एक रहने के लिए एक घर चाहिए, इसलिए हमारे हमारे पास प्रधानमंत्री आवास योजना है. ठीक है, हमारे पास एक जॉब चाहिए, इसलिए हमारे पास एमजी नरेगा है. ठीक है, हमें फॉर एग्जांपल हेल्थ इंश्योरेंस चाहिए, तो हमें हमारे पास इसलिए आयुष्मान भारत स्कीम है. हमें प्रॉपर रास्ता चाहिए, इसलिए हमारे पास फॉर एग्जांपल प्रधानमंत्री ग्राम सड़क योजना है. ठीक है, सो व्हाट आर ऑल दिस थिंग्स? सो दीज आर ऑल schemes implemented by the government to give a adequate mean of livelihood for the citizens. Okay, and this is also promoted by whom? Promoted by the state. For what is the purpose? For the welfare of the citizens. So is it not again coming under socialism? Definitely yes. Okay, then again see equitable distribution of material resources of the community for the common good. Now what does this word equitable means? Okay, if I ask you what does this word equitable means, it means that equal, okay, equality in equal circumstances. Okay, for example, आपको अगर कुछ डायरेक्ट बेनिफिट ट्रांसफर यूज करके कुछ पैसे ट्रांसफर करना है फॉर द वेलफेयर ऑफ द सिटीजन्स. ओके, आप सरकार अंबानी को पैसा नहीं देंगे. ओके, सरकार गरीब लोगों को पैसे देंगे ऑब्वियसली. ओके, सो और फॉर एग्जांपल इफ आई ट्राई टू एक्सप्लेन यू द मीनिंग ऑफ इक्विटी. ओके, कि equality, okay, what is equity? It is equality based on equal circumstances. मतलब circumstance has to be equal. Okay, circumstance has to be equal. For example, if I tell you that this is a wall, okay, this is a wall, and beyond this wall there is a performance going on. Okay, there is a performance going on. For example, now there is a person, okay, now there is a person who wants to look at this performance from this side of the wall. Okay, from this side of the wall. So suppose his height is this much. Okay, suppose his height is this much. So he is very happy because he can easily watch the performance beyond that wall, right? Then suppose there is a person who is having a height of this much, but he is not very happy. He is a bit sad because he cannot watch. He has to jump and look. Okay, so then government will provide him a tool of this height so that he can stand up and easily look at the performance. Similarly, there's a small kid, okay, who is not happy at all, who is very sad, who cannot look at the performance even if he jumps. So government will have to provide him a tool of this amount. Okay, so you see that the support to all the levels are different. Okay, if the support is of this much to this person, then he will be able to see the performance. If support is of a bit more for this person, he will be able to see the performance. Okay, so he will be also happy. So you see that now there is equality based on their circumstances. Okay, since his circumstance was very poor, he needs more support. His circumstance was a bit less, so he needs a less support, but his circumstance is already good, so he does not need any support from the government. This is the concept of equity. Okay, so when we are trying to see here that equitable distribution, okay, that is in article 39 clause C, equitable distribution, it means that जिसको जितना चाहिए, okay, ना ज्यादा ना less. Now these are the ideals provided by the constitution. Okay, लेकिन इसको क्यों आपको distribute करना है? For the community, for the common good of the people. Okay, I hope you have understood this. Then part C of article 39 talks about prevention of concentration of wealth and means of production. Okay, कि आप concentration of wealth, आप किसी के पास concentrate होने से आप उसको रोको. Okay, because that will promote what? Inequality in the society. But this is only a feature given in the DPSP, but this is not guaranteed. Okay, but because in our state, though it is a socialistic, we also do promote capitalism. Okay, नहीं तो अंबानी के पास या अदानी के पास इतने पैसे नहीं होता. Okay, so government should, but again, this is being implemented through other means. For example, we have a, if we talk about the taxation system in a country, okay, if we talk about the taxation system in a country, what is it? Is it progressive or it is regressive in nature? Obviously the taxation system is what? Progressive. In progressive taxation we have a system like that. That means what? The rich will pay more tax and the poor will pay less tax, okay, and the poorest will pay no tax. Okay, this is a progressive system. For example, if you are earning like 10 lakhs or something, you need to pay 30% of the tax. Less than 10 lakhs you need to pay suppose 20% of the tax. Okay, less than that you need to pay 10%, and less than that you don't need to pay any tax. Okay, so that means what? You are accumulating more from the person who is earning more, so you're preventing the accumulation. But again, this is being implemented in, so you can say that in order to implement this particular term. Then equal pay for equal work for both men and women. This is a very, very important part. Okay, but even now this is not being implemented in real sense, but the constitution is directing the state to look after equal pay for equal work for both men and women. Then preservation of the health and strength of workers and children against forcible abuse. Okay, so forced labor and everything should be definitely banned, and it should not be your what we can say is like encouraged. Okay, then opportunities for healthy development of children. Okay, so all these things are mentioned in the article 39 in different subparts of article 19. There are 6 subparts. Okay, then there was an amendment and there was a new article inserted, which is article 39A, which talks about promoting equal justice to provide free legal aid to the poor. You see that everything is being talked about here to promote the welfare of the citizens of the country, and this is all promoting the socialism, the ideology of socialism. Okay, that गरीबों के लिए अगर उनका suppose मान लीजिए कि किसी का जमीन, okay, कोई गरीब इंसान का जमीन इलीगल वे मीन्स से सरकार ने या फिर कोई सिटीजन ऑफ द कंट्री ने उसको like acquire कर लिया या seize कर लिया, now that person cannot bear the expenditures of the court. Okay, so unke liye government should represent a lawyer in order to represent the poor people. Okay, provide free legal aid, and this is also there, and this is also a principle of socialism where the state is working hard to promote the welfare of the people. Okay, then you see that article 41. Okay, article 41. Now article 40 is not here because article 40 will come under the Gandhian principles. Okay, it will come under Gandhian principles. Why? Because Gandhiji talked about what? Local self-governance mainly. He promoted about the self-sufficiency of village economy. Okay, he talked about the panchayati raj in the villages. Okay, so that is why, since article 40 talks about panchayat, we are not finding article 40 in this particular topic, because that will come under the Gandhian principle. Okay, so next comes, that is your article 41, and it talks about the right to secure, the right to work, to education, and to public assistance in cases of unemployment, old age, sickness, and disablement. Okay, so it is talking about right to work. So if you see that MG Narega is a policy, so this is to implement which article? It is to implement article 41. Okay, then again to secure education also. Okay, and to public assistance in cases of what? Unemployment. अगर किसी को unemployment है तो वहाँ पे public assistance मिलना चाहिए. For example, we have a mudra scheme. Okay, we have a mudra scheme. We have Pradhan Mantri Employment Guarantee Program. Okay, we have MSME scheme. Okay, we have ASSAM Skill Development Mission. Okay, we have Pradhan Mantri Kaushal Vikas Yojana. What are all these? These are assistance given for unemployment people. Okay, then we also have, for example, old age. Okay, we have different geriatrics provided, like schemes for the old age, for the sick people, along also with the disabled people. Okay, so all these are to implement article 41. Okay, again you see that who is providing the opportunities? The state, for the welfare of the people. Again, the ideology of socialism is getting promoted here. So all these articles are coming under the pillar of socialism, and very beautifully the directive principles of state policy are classified into 3 parts: socialism, Gandhian principles, and liberal intellectual principles. Okay, then comes your article 42, and it talks about to make provision for just and human conditions of work and maternity relief. All right, you see here that article 42 is again talking about what? Just and human conditions of work. Ki at work you should be working at a justified condition, and there should be maternity relief. And that is why we have so many acts for the benefit of the maternity. Okay, we have so many acts for the benefit of the mothers who are delivering children, child. Okay, so or babies. So article 42 जितने भी mother related schemes है, all of those come under what? Article 42. Okay, after that you can see that article 43 also talks about securing a living wage, a decent standard of life, and socio-cultural opportunities for all workers. So it is also talking about all the workers, that all the workers should have a decent standard of life. Okay, and they should get some good opportunities to work. And 43A also talks, it is an amended article, it talks about the participation of workers in the management of industries. It is talking about the rights of the workers. Okay, so all these things have to be looked after by the state for the welfare of the people, and that is why it is coming under the sociology, sorry, not sociology, extremely sorry, socialism ideology. Okay, and then at last, article 47 talks about the level of nutrition and standard of living of people to improve public health. Okay, this is again, it will be done by the state, राइट इसलिए हमारे पास इतने सारे स्कीम्स हैं, मिड डे मील स्कीम, ठीक है, अंत्योदय योजना स्कीम, ओके, लाइक देन फूड सिक्योरिटी स्कीम्स लाइक नेशनल फूड सिक्योरिटी एक्ट ऑफ 2013, ठीक है, इतने सारे स्कीम्स है. देन इन एंड दिस स्कीम्स आर टू व्हाट? दिस टू प्रमोट द, हु इज डूइंग इट? टू प्रमोट द न्यूट्रिशन. द स्टेट्स आर implementing it. So again, it is being done by states, so definitely it will come under the definition of socialism. All right, so this all the articles. Now it is your homework to remember these articles, okay, under the definition of socialism, okay, or under the pillar of socialism, because in prelims sometimes you can get a question that out of this following articles which will fall under the principle of socialism, and you have to be very, very clear with it at that time. Okay, at the same time, sometimes it can be even asked that which of the following subjects of DPSP were added with a constitutional amendment act, okay, or which were not present initially. So you have to remember the amended articles separately, because it has also come in this format. Okay, sorry, not this one. Article 39A is an amended one. So you have to remember the subject of this article, that is to provide free legal aid, okay, to the poor. So you have to remember that. Then similarly, you should remember the article 43A, which talks about the participation of workers in the management of industries. Okay, and also article 47, which is talking about providing nutrition, okay, or maintaining the level of nutrition and standard of living of people, and to improve the public health. Okay, so this is very, very important, and we have covered in great details. And also please do try to remember the different articles and what are the subjects of those articles. For example, if I ask you what is there in 42, it talks about just and human conditions of work, and okay, human conditions at work, and it also talks about the benefits for the maternity relief. Okay, so you have to remember it. But if I ask you why article 44 is not in the socialism ideology, because article 40, what is the subject of article 44? Okay, if I ask you that, it is a new concept. For example, ban of triple talaq, okay, or for example, if I tell you that all religions should have same divorce laws, are getting it, same divorce laws. So it is a new concept, it is a new liberal concept, so definitely it will come under the liberal intellectual pillar, not under socialism or Gandhian principle. Okay, or if we talk about, for example, the to protect environment or climate change, it is a new concept. Okay, environment, climate change, ये पहले जमाने में नहीं था. It is a new concept. In fact, about climate change, the world has started to officially talk from 1992. Okay, there was a Earth Summit in 1992, and from that time, actually, and after the establishment of United Nations Environment Program in, I think it was established somewhere around 1988. You can please recheck this if I'm not wrong. After that time period, actually, we have started to talk about the climate change and everything. Okay, so these are new principles. So this won't come under socialism. All right. So, and regarding the Gandhian principles, whatever Gandhiji used to discuss, obviously it will come under his principles. Okay, so for example, you see that article 40. Okay, since it talks about the village panchayats, okay, that needs to be organized. Okay, and this was units of self-government. This was a main topic that was discussed by Gandhiji, and it will come under the Gandhian principles. Okay, and similarly, again, you see that article 43 is also here, and article 43 is also under the socialism principle. Why? Because in any article there are different parts. Okay, part 1, part 2, for example. Now one article can comprise or can consider 2-3 different sub parts under that article. Okay, so if article 43 is also talking about a decent standard of life and social and cultural opportunities for all workers. That means it is talking about the workers. Okay. Similarly, in some other part of that article, it is also talking about promoting cottage industries on an individual of cooperation basis in rural areas. Okay, that is why Article 43 is both under your Gandhian principle, also under your socialism principle. Because workers के लिए just condition देने के लिए उसके लिए कौन किसको काम करना पड़ेगा? State को. So definitely it will come under the socialism principle. But who talked about cottage industries? Who talked about the sarkha, promotion of sarkha? Or who talked about self सफिशिएंट इकोनॉमी कि आप खुद से आपका प्रोडक्शन करो, ठीक है, आपके घर के अंदर हाउस होल्ड प्रोडक्शन करो. इट वाज mainly supported by Gandhiji after his arrival, okay, with the and he himself was running the Charkha, okay, to ban the foreign goods and start producing the local clothes, right? So that cottage industry was also, since it was being promoted by Gandhiji, so it is also coming under the Gandhian principle. And Article 43 is also talking about what? It is also talking about your the just conditions of the workers, which will have to be promoted by the state, and that is why Article 43 is also there in the socialism pillar. Okay, next. Again, in Article 43, you can see that 43A and 43B. Okay, so you can see here that there is a amendment in 43A which talks about participation of workers in the management of industries. Now, who can provide this? This has to be provided by the state, right? So this part of this 43A is in the socialism principle. Okay, but 43B is talking about what? It is talking about the promoting of cooperative societies. Okay, and these cooperative societies, panchayats or cottage industries, all were promoted by Gandhiji during the fight for independence in Indian society. And that is why again cooperative societies का जो आर्टिकल है कि आपको cooperative अभी जैसे cooperative farming के बारे में हम बात करते हैं. Okay, there are many laws under agriculture which the schemes which are promoting cooperative farming, okay, or self-help groups. Okay, these are also cooperative things. Now why these cooperative societies have come up? Because it builds up the bargaining power of the vulnerable sections of people. It allows them to get credit facilities. It allows them to become eligible under various schemes and policies of the government. Okay, so and all these things were talked by Gandhiji to promote cooperative societies, and that is why the cooperative societies is also coming under the principle of your Gandhian philosophy. Okay, then Gandhiji talked about, he was also known because he gave the term Harijan, right? He gave the term Harijan to the Dalits or to the lower caste people. Okay, since he talked about the protection of the interest of the SC/ST people, so definitely when your Article 46, I told you, right? I told you about the debate between Article 15 and 46, and I told you that 46 talks about your SC/ST protection of their interest. Okay, and that is why, since Gandhiji also talked about the SC/ST people, he told them, he gave the title of Harijan, that they are the people of God. Okay, they are a son of God, and that is why this will also come under the principle of Gandhian principle. At the same time, Gandhiji also talked about prohibition of consumption of intoxicating drinks, drugs, and injurious to health. Okay, and that is why Article 47, since if you remember, Article 47 is also talking about what? Meeting the nutritious demand of the citizens of the country. लेकिन nutrition promote करने के लिए state को करना पड़ेगा, right? State को करना पड़ेगा, and that is why one part of 47 is also coming under your socialism principle. Okay, because जैसे mid day meal scheme चलाना है, तो it has to be implemented by state. National Food Security Act लाना है, ठीक है, कि आपको 1 रुपए, 2 रुपए और 3 रुपए में आपको 3 रुपए में राइस, 2 रुपए में आपको क्या मिलेगा? राइस, गेहूं, व्हीट, एंड 1 रुपए में आपको कोर्स सीरियल्स. ठीक है, ये कौन ला सकते हैं? ये सरकार ला सकते हैं. ठीक है, इट हैज टू बी डन बाय द स्टेट. सो 47 का एक पार्ट आपका इस सोशलिज्म पिलर के अंदर है, एंड दूसरा पिलर जो इट टॉक्स अबाउट द इंटॉक्सिकेटिंग ड्रिंक्स, जो गांधी जी ने कभी प्रमोट नहीं किया. ओके, it was also like not supported by Gandhiji, and Article 47 is also coming under the Gandhian philosophy. All right, and last, Gandhiji also talked about prohibiting the slaughter of cows and other milch draught cattle, and to improve their breeds. Okay, and this is Article 48. But let me remind you here that Article 48 actually is not based on religion. Okay, this article is misused many number of times. Gandhiji had prohibited the slaughter of cows because of its economic importance. Okay, because of which, and whatever the milch and draught cattle was there, okay, So that because there are so many advantageous products coming from the cows, or the cows and other milch and draught cattle, and that is why he had talked about the prohibition of the slaughter of these animals. Okay, so with these articles, so you have to remember these articles. Okay, that there are, and if you revise it 3 4 times, definitely it will become very very easy for all of you. Okay, you do not worry about it. These are very easy ones. You just try to understand behind the philosophy or behind the justification that why these articles are placed under Gandhian principle, or why these articles are placed under the socialism principle. Okay, and at last we need to discuss about the liberal intellectual principles. Okay, for example, but before we go ahead with this, I just want to hear from all of you that if everything is going right and you are able to understand that why certain articles are put under the sociology principle and why certain articles are put under your Gandhian principles. Did you understand the philosophy or the concept behind it? If you have understood, please do let me know by writing yes, or if you have any doubt, please do write in the comment section that why this particular article is under this pillar of the ideology, whether it is Gandhian or whether it is socialism. Okay, before we go ahead with the liberal or intellectualism. Okay, so please do write and please comment in the comment section. I'm just waiting for a few seconds and then I'll move ahead. Okay. I request everyone to participate. If you are finding it helpful and if you are understanding it well, please do write yes in the comment section. Okay. All right, Kakul, Fami, Susmita, Joshita, Rakhi. Okay, Manik, Sahira, Krishnamani, Triparna, Jinatun, Samson. All right. So I hope you've understood. Okay, Rimjin has not understood. What have you not understood, Rimjin? Can you please let me know? Uh, can you please let me know, Rimjim, which particular thing you have not understood? Jagriti, sir, Gandhian principles are also socialist in nature. Uh, Somewhere we can say yes, okay, but there can be some overlapping fields, okay, but we have to discreetly divide them under the principles what Gandhi, because when you talk about panchayats, ultimately the state have to implement the panchayats because state had to bring the Constitutional Amendment Act, okay, uh, like uh, when we talk about 1992 72nd 73rd Constitutional Amendment Act. Okay, but again, going back into the detailed analysis. Okay, for example, when we talk about panchayat, since it was the major ideology behind panchayat is the Gandhian ideology, because Gandhiji promoted the local self-governance. Okay, so we will definitely put it under the Gandhian principle. Okay, Rimjim is asking that why. I hope, Jagriti, you have understood. Okay, there can be overlapping. Yes, Gandhian principles can also be socialistic in nature, but since Gandhiji, whatever Gandhiji had promoted, we will put it under the Gandhian pillar. Okay, uh, Rustom, you're asking that DPSP and fundamental rights ever come in conflict? Yes, a lot many times. Okay, we'll discuss about it in the later part of the class. A lot many times this has come into conflict, and there were many cases like Golaknath case. There is cases like Minerva Mills case, which has given a verdict on it. Okay, we'll discuss about it. Don't worry. Why Rimjim is asking that why it has been divided into three categories. See, it has the Constitution has not divided into it. Okay, the Constitution has not divided the directive principles of state. Constitution has simply written the articles in what, in your article serial wise. Okay, but why we are understanding this in three different categories? Because the exam ask. Okay, because the examination is asking that which article is coming under which particular philosophy. Okay, and even the experts have talked about it. The analysis is like that it has been classified into three parts, and which are your socialism principles, Kantian principles, and intellectual liberal principles. Okay, so this is why we have to discuss about it, and we just have to understand the basic background, or just the philosophy, that what is like the philosophy for any article which will fall under a particular perspective or ideology. Okay, that is what we have to understand as of now. Okay, so that if it comes in the exam, you try to recollect that which part of this art, which what this article is trying to discuss about it, and under which philosophy or perspective it will fall into, or ideology. Okay, so I hope you have understood this. If you have any other doubt, you can just let me know, and let us proceed with the liberal intellectual principles. Now whatever, now you understand what is liberal or intellectual principles. Okay, this is something modern. Okay, this is something coming from the concept of modernity. Okay, modernity. Now what do you understand by modernity? This modern concept has actually come after the industrial revolution. Okay, because during this term of industrial revolution, during this time period of industrial revolution, which was basically that we get to see in the Western European society like France, Britain, okay, or Germany. So what was happening there, that because of like some certain revolutions, like at that time a lot of your inventions had took place, scientific inventions, because of which commercial revolution took place. Okay, commercial revolution means increase in trade and commerce. Okay, and during this time period there were various scholars like enlightenment scholars we can talk about, who came up and they gave a lot of theories in support to this industrial revolution. Okay, and they talked about new concepts like equality, then liberty, okay, then fraternity, then like separation of power. It was talked by Montesquieu. Okay, Rousseau talked about the concept of liberty and everything. There was concept of equality. Okay, so these were new concepts, but prior to that there was no in the traditional aspects when church used to rule. There was no concept of equality, though it was there, but these theories were not there. Okay, so these new thinkers, when they came up with this thing, with these new concepts, okay, this era was referred to as the modern era because of these modern concepts. And whatever new ideas, for example, when we talk about uniform civil code, okay, what is uniform civil code? That means all your personal laws will be same. Okay, whether it is of Islam, whether it is of Hindu, whether it is of Christianity, whether it is of Sikhs. Okay, so all your personal laws will be same. But it can be possible only in a very modern society. Okay, for example, if you go to a Sikh society and if you ask them not to follow their rituals, okay, and to follow up only to follow the constitution or the law of the land, okay, which is a modern concept we can talk about, obviously there will be oppositions. If you go to talk about the similar thing to a Hindu or a Islam follower or a Christianity follower, everyone will oppose it. Okay, so uniform civil code is not that possible, and that is why obviously it is in Article 44 within DPSP and not in the fundamental rights. Okay, so this is again a new modern concept. Okay, and that is why it has been put under the pillar of liberal intellectual principles. Then to provide early childhood care, okay, and education for all children until they complete age of 6 years. This is discussed in Article 45. Now you talk about education for all in a very modern society, not in a traditional society. Okay, education, environment, all these things comes in a very modern society and not in a traditional society, and because of that obviously we can put it under the liberal and intellectual principles. Then if we talk about, see, to discuss about agriculture and animal husbandry on modern and scientific lines. So you see that this Article 48 itself talks about the modern and scientific lines, so obviously it will come under the liberal and intellectual principle. Okay, then when we talk about the protecting the environment and safeguard the forest and wildlife, you tell me in a traditional society there is no requirement to safeguard the forest and wildlife or the environment, because in a traditional society when there is no industries, where there is no exploitation of the environment, okay, you do not talk about the environment or the climate change. Are you getting it? And it can be only discussed in a very modern world, in a modern society, where you see that there is impact on climate change, there is impact on pollution, there is impact on the livelihood of the people. Okay, and then you have to talk about the protecting the environment or the safeguard of forest and wildlife. That is why we have so many Wildlife Protection Act, Air Protection Act, Water Protection Act, Environment Protection Act of 1986, Biodiversity Act of 2002. Okay, what are these things? These are new acts in order to implement Article 48A. Okay, so when we are talking about environment protection or sustainable, now we are talking about sustainable development goals. Okay, what is this? Did you ever hear that we talked about this in 14th century? Okay, because at that time it was not required. Okay, we are not of an exploitative nature at that time period, but in present situation the human beings are very exploitative. We are not thinking for the next generation, we are not thinking for the conservation of the resources for the next generation. We are trying to consume more and more. Okay, we are not promoting sustainable. Okay, we are polluting the environment, we are destroying the forest, we are cutting down the forest and everything, and this is a very dangerous situation for the future generations. And that is why Article 48 will definitely talk about the modern lifestyle, and it is also coming under your liberal intellectual principle. Article 49 talks about the protecting of monuments, places and objects of artistic and historic interest, which are declared be of national importance. Okay, so your monument protection and everything is also coming under the modern era. Then to separate the judiciary from an executive in the public service of the state. You see this, that the judiciary should be separated from the executive in the public services. I had already discussed about Article 50. And this is a very, very new concept of separation of power given by Montesquieu during your Industrial Revolution time period, when the Enlightenment scholars were discussing or bringing new concepts. And this time period is only referred to as what the modern era of the European society. Okay, and since this is also highlighting this Article 50, obviously it will also come under your liberal intellectual principles. Okay, then Article 51 talks about promoting international peace and security and maintain just as honorable relations between nations to foster respect for international law and treaty obligations. Okay, this is also very, we can say, about the new liberal intellectual capacity. Why? Because now, for example, suppose let us say that there is a concept of UNFCCC, United Nations Federation on Conference on Climate Change. Now, under this, for example, there are a lot of conference on parties happening every year. Okay, and this is talking about climate change. Okay, and trying to mitigate the damage from climate change or disasters and everything. Okay, now all these things, if India is a signatory to it, okay, we also have to oblige to those treaties. Okay, for example, under, if we talk about WTO, okay, World Trade Organization, there is a concept of TRIPS. Okay, there's a body of TRIPS under which we talk about intellectual property rights, IPR issues. Okay, we are talking about IPR issues, or we are talking about geographical indications. Okay, what are these new concepts of patent rights? Okay, we're talking about patent rights. Now these are new modern techniques or concepts. Okay, so definitely if we have to promote and this international peace between two different countries, so we have to definitely respect the international treaties, okay, that India is signing, and or in order to maintain a proper international relations with various countries, in order to become a superpower of the world, okay, we have to definitely follow Article 51, and which is also a modern concept of during the time of globalization in not only in 20th century but also obviously in 21st century. Okay, so these are all new modern concepts, and that is why also it is put under the liberal and intellectual principles of directive principles of state policy. So I hope you've understood the philosophies behind which article is placed under which classification, and please try to remember the subjects of the article accordingly with the article number. And as I told you, that whatever there we see that there is an amended article, for example Article 48A, it talks about the environment and safety of the forest and wildlife, so it is also an amended article. Okay, along with, for example, we saw in 43B, okay, it talks about like the cooperative societies. Then we saw about Article 43A about the participation of workers in the management of industries. Then we talk about 39A. So these are all new articles which are added later on. Okay, and it was not present when the constitution was drafted during the independence time period. Okay, so and even in the Lakshmikant book, you can see that the new directive principles are mentioned separately. Okay, and also you see here that within Article 39 also, okay, the 42nd Amendment of 1976 actually added 4 new directive principles to the original list. Okay, and you see that 39, the last part, it is talking about what? The development of children. That is, it is talking about youth's empowerment. Okay, it is talking about youth empowerment. So if you get a essay on youth empowerment or women empowerment or about the children upliftment, okay, you should definitely highlight about Article 39 and 42nd Amendment Act. Okay, when you write this kind of content, you definitely score more rather than writing a general content. Okay, so then we have already seen Article 39A, but again, see 39 ka jo last part hai, okay, which talks about the development of youth or the children, only that is being added by 42nd Amendment Act, okay, of 1976, which we also call it as mini constitution of India, because a lot of changes were done under this Amendment Act. Okay, so I hope you know that. Then Article 39A also talks about the free equal justice, promote equal justice to provide free legal aid. हम लोगों ने इसको already discuss किया है. Then 43A, okay, हमने ये भी देखा है. And 48A. Now these 4 were added under 42nd. Okay, but apart from that, okay, 43A में क्या था? Participation of workers in the management of industries. And 48 में था आपका environment का safety and wildlife का safety. Okay, then 44th में भी कुछ changes आया था. Okay, and this Amendment Act of 1978 added one more DPSP, which requires the state to minimize the inequalities of income, status, facilities, and opportunities. This is there present in Article 38. So this part was also changed and added. Okay. After that, 86 Amendment Act, very very important. I had already told you that Article 45, okay, उसको fundamental right बनाया गया. Okay, Article 21A was added. Okay, so इसमें क्या changes आया था? If I tell you, okay, if I let you know under this, okay, or last में let us see before I explain you this thing. Okay, that in 97th Amendment Act, okay, there was this 43B, which was like for the cooperative societies. So you understand that there were some additional changes brought to the directive principles of state policy, like the 42nd Constitutional Amendment Act, then your 86th Constitutional Amendment Act. Okay, you can see here that 42nd ने आपका ये चारों change लाया था, 39, 39A, 43 and 48A. Then also the 44th, okay, उसमें 38 का changes लाया था, then 86th and then finally 97. Okay, 44, 44, 42nd, 44 and 86 and 97. Okay, so इसमें 44 ने आपका 4 article में changes लाया, 86 ने 1, 97 ने 1 and 44 ने 1. तो total 4, 5, 6, 7 articles में changes आया है अभी तक in the DPSP. So you should remember this 7 articles, and these are like 38, okay, then 39, okay, then you have the 39A, okay, then you have 43A, okay, then you have 43B, okay, then you have 47, okay, that is this is your, oh yes, not 47, this is in between the 45, that is your education, and 48 finally, okay, which talks about your, yes, 43B we talked about. So how many there? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, so these are the articles that you need to remember. 38 talks about the welfare. 39 इसमें आपका youth का empowerment, children का development. Okay, 39A में क्या हुआ आपका free legal aid. Okay, free legal aid. 43 में आपका participation of workers in the management, right? 43B talks about cooperative societies. 45 talks about your education. We'll come to this. I'll explain you this separately. Okay, then 48 will talk about your what? It will talk about your this 48A. It will talk about your environment and safeguard of forest and wildlife. Okay, so I hope you'll remember this. See, it is not very difficult to it is not very difficult actually, like, to remember this. Okay, you just go through it once and try to revise it once more. If I just repeat it for you at the cost of repetition, or the cost of revision, see, there are 7 articles which have been added. Okay, and that is your Article 38, which talks about, you can see here, to minimize the inequalities in income status facilities. So basically it is talking about the welfare of all. Okay, then 39 is talking about the last part of 39, that is about the development of the youths or the children. 39A, free legal aid to the poor. 43A, it talks about participation of workers in the management. Okay, 43B talks about the cooperative societies, Gandhian principle again. 45A talks about the education, which I'll explain you now. Okay, then 48 talks about your environment and wildlife safety. Okay, so it's not that difficult for you to remember. You can easily remember this part. Okay, now let us come and try to understand our what we understand by just give me a second. Okay, so what happened in the 86th Constitutional Amendment Act? Okay, there were changes in 3 articles. And what are these articles? 21A got added, 45 got changed, and even 51A also there was a addition in the fundamental duties. Okay, now before this 86th Constitutional Amendment Act, let me explain it to you, that your early childhood care, okay, that was added to DPSP. Okay, and this early childhood care will be for whom? For 0 to 6 years of age. So whatever policies, for example, the Anganwadi workers, okay, the ASHA workers, okay, these policies that the state is running, they are running under Article 45, okay, because this is the direction that is being given by the Constitution to the states for the welfare of the early childhood care. All right, but the education rights from 6 to 14 years of age now comes under 21A, but earlier it was there in Article 45. Okay, till the age of 14, it was there in Article 45. It was under DPSP. It was not a guaranteed right. But as the government had realized that now we have sufficient amount of resources, we have sufficient amount of number of schools and trainers, okay, we can now make this right a fundamental right. But even now, many of the youths are not being able to get it, okay, because of various other reasons. But now, from 6 to 14 years, the education should be free for all, okay, and it is coming under Article 21A, it is made a fundamental right. Okay, and one additional part was also added in 51A under fundamental duties, that it will be the fundamental duty of all the guardians to send their children, okay, to schools or to the learning centers. Okay, so you see that under 86 Amendment Act, which came in 2002, but which was implemented only from 2009, okay, brought changes in 3 articles, that is 21A, for Article 45 and 51A. Okay, so you see that these were so many changes brought forward by 86, which was a very, very important amendment of the Constitution of India. They might even ask you that out of which of the following amendments there was an impact on the directive principles of state policy, and you can talk about 44th, 42nd, 86th, and 97th. Okay, so you see 97 talks about your 43B. All right, so please try to remember this. Please do not forget this. Okay, so it will definitely help you with your prelims questions. Now let us move ahead with the sanction behind the directive principles of state policy. Okay, I think let me take a few questions from all of you as of now. If you have, just let me know if you are still with me, and please let me know if you have any doubt till now. Okay, I'll just take a 30 seconds break. I'm not going anywhere. Okay, not going anywhere. Just tell me. I just want to see if there are any doubts from your side, and I'll definitely take it. Okay, I'm just waiting for 30 seconds. If I get any questions, I'll deal with it, or else I'll move ahead with the next topic. Not much left for the topic. We'll just maybe need another like 15-20 minutes, and then we'll be able to complete the chapter. Okay, please go ahead if you have any doubt as of now. All right, so I don't see any doubt coming up, so I think we can move ahead with the chapter. Okay, so there's a topic called as sanction behind directive principles of state policy. Okay, now you see here that Sir B.N. Rao, the constitutional advisor to the Constituent Assembly, recommended that the rights of an individual should be divided into 2 categories. One is the justiciable, and the other one is the non-justiciable. Okay, so that we have already discussed, which was actually accepted, okay, by the drafting committee. Consequently, the fundamental rights which are justiciable in nature are incorporated in part 3, and I have already discussed this part in the beginning of the chapter. Okay, and directive principles are non-justiciable. We know this. Okay, Article 37 makes it very clear that these are fundamental in the governance, because in the governance, whatever policies, whatever schemes will be made by the government have to follow the guidelines provided in this chapter. Okay, and it shall be the duty of the state to apply these principles in making laws, and that is why these are fundamental in the governance of the country. Okay, thus they impose a moral obligation. Okay, there is no legal sanction. Are you getting it, what this topic is trying to talk about? Okay, because in fundamental rights there is a legal sanction, because if the government violates it, they will be enforceable under the court of law, because it is justiciable or guaranteed rights under the constitution. But DPSPs are actually not guaranteed, and we know this. Okay, so there is no legal sanction against the government even if they do not follow it, but there is a moral sanction or a moral obligation for the application. Okay, why? Because if any government is not following it, they will not may not be come to the government again after 5 years. People may not vote for them, right? So that is what we can say, that there is a political sanction, okay, not legal sanction, and that is the public opinion. Okay, suppose if government do not follow the directive principles of state policy, or if government do not work for the welfare of the people, okay, government may not be coming after 5 years again if the people or the public do not vote for them. Okay, so we say that there is no legal sanction for DPSP, but there is a moral obligation or moral sanction or a political sanction applicable for it. Okay, so I hope you understand it. It's a very, very simple thing for you to understand. And that is why the government which rests on popular vote can hardly ignore the DPSP while shaping its policy. Okay, because because their entire government is depending on the popular vote, and that is why they bring with a lot of popular schemes. Okay, for the people, they give a lot of things for free for the people for to promote the welfare, because they cannot ignore these directive principles. If any government ignores them, it will be certainly have to answer for that before the electorate at the election time. So I hope you have understood this. Okay, so the framers of the constitution made the DPSP non-justiciable and legally non-enforceable. I have already explained it to you, because the country did not possess sufficient financial resources to implement it. Have we not discussed this? We have already discussed this. Okay, देश के पास उस टाइम पे इतना फाइनेंशियल रिसोर्सेस नहीं था, इतने सारे स्कूल्स नहीं थे, ठीक है, और उस टाइम बहुत ज्यादा बैकवर्डनेस था, बहुत ज्यादा डाइवर्सिटी था. ओके, एंड SC ST के लिए या फिर सबके लिए जॉब, ठीक है, अनएम्प्लॉयड पीपल के लिए या फिर सबके लिए एडुकेशन सरकार को देना पॉसिबल ही नहीं था. इट वाज नामुमकिन, इट वाज इम्पॉसिबल. ओके, सो this was also a reason. Then a newly born independent Indian state with its many preoccupations might be crushed under a burden unless it was free to decide. ओके, तो ऑब्वियसली न्यूली क्रिएटेड स्टेट था, तो उनको थोड़ा सा टाइम चाहिए था कि क्या कौन सी क्या हम लोग इंप्लीमेंट कर सकते हैं, क्या हम इंप्लीमेंट नहीं कर सकते. ठीक है, इसीलिए ऑब्वियसली द DPSPs were not made justiciable. ठीक है, सो this is what we have already discussed. Okay, then if we can see the criticism of the directive principles of state policy. Okay, so you see here that there is no legal force. Okay, we obviously criticism, and it's very simple. You can give a reading. मेंस में कभी काम आ सकता है आपको लिखने के लिए ये सारे पॉइंट्स कि लीगल फोर्स नहीं है तो उसको रह के फिर फायदा क्या. बट वी हैव सीन द फायदा, राइट, बिकॉज देयर इज पॉलिटिकल सैंक्शन, moral obligation, and in fact Supreme Court can also use DPSP by declaring, if they declare some part as basic structure doctrine, and if government do not follow it, it can make the law as not valid. Example, we can give a very beautiful example of National Judicial Appointment Commission, okay, which was made by NJSC Act. All right, so even if there is no legal force, still its applicability is there. But again, to criticize, we can use this term. Okay, then illogically arranged. So you have seen that though we have classified into three parts like Gandhian, socialism, and your liberal intellectual, but it is all mixed up. Okay, it is all mixed up. So the arrangement is not scientific. That is what they are trying to say. Then again, it is saying that it is conservative, more conservative in nature. Okay, so why they say? Because of the term socialism. Okay, because you know that in a modern society, when we talk about industrial revolution, it is promoting capitalism, right? It is promoting capitalism. It is promoting private property. It is promoting maximization of profit. It is promoting about individual rights. Okay, it is talking about your equality of opportunity, not of equality of outcome. Okay, so I hope you understand what is that. So here, since we're not talking about the ideology of capitalism, which is a new modern concept, we are talking about the ideology of socialism, and that is why we say that our part 4 is a bit of a conservative in nature. Okay, then about a constitutional conflict. Now there is a huge constitutional conflict, because I told you, okay, what is this? I give you an example. See, I've already explained everything to you. If you have paid attention to this entire duration of this class, when I was talking about you between the fight of Article 15 and Article 46, I hope you remembered it. Just 1 hour back, we discussed this when there was a case of Champakaran Dorarajan case versus Union of India in 1951. There was a conflict, and we saw that the constitution itself was contradicting to each other in two different parts. Okay, Article 15 was talking about that the state should not discriminate based on caste, but Article 46 is talking about that in order to promote welfare for SC/ST, you need to discriminate them positively. Okay, so there is a conflict, and this is what is constitutional conflict it is trying to talk about. Okay, so I hope you have understood that. Then the next topic, if we try to discuss about the utility of directive principles of state policy. Okay, so obviously by now I think you have understood the utility of this, right? Because there are so many utilities. Okay, for example, like with the help of this DPSP, the government is bringing so many acts. Pradhan Mantri Awas Yojana, it is trying to promote the social justice, okay, the welfare of the people, okay, the equality, the inequality is getting reduced because of progressive taxation system, okay, to foster the, like, again, there are topics like inclusive growth, sabka saath sabka vikas. This can be possible only when you implement DPSP. All right, the utility is so much, like you can talk about like uh, environmental protection. Okay, even we are focusing on environment, then there are many thinkers like experts we have talked about, like Serbian Rao, the constitutional advisor. Okay, he stated that DPSP are moral percepts for the authorities of the state. So you can use these statements to write sometime in your mains answers. Okay, then you can even talk about like they are like an instrument of instructions or general recommendations. So इसका utility बहुत ज़्यादा है. They are served as used as beacon lights to the courts. Okay, so I had already told you that they have helped the courts in exercising the power of judicial review, that is the power to determine the constitutional validity of a law. And I gave you the example of NJAC, right? That how they used DPSP to check whether a law is valid or not. Okay, so that is the utility of DPSP. We see it. They form the dominating background of all state action. ठीक है, obviously कोई भी state action जो भी policy लाने हैं, law लाना है, act लाना है, so इसका background क्या है? DPSP, because the state is guided by DPSP to make any or draft any law, even for the courts. Okay, they amplify the preamble. Okay, whatever in preamble it is mentioned about ki justice hona chahiye, liberty, equality, fraternity, all these are actually promoted in true sense, okay, by DPSP. So preamble को implement करने के लिए preamble का जितने भी like principles है, it is getting implemented through the help of DPSP. All right, so these are all the what utilities of the chapter of DPSP. So the directives also play the following roles. They facilitate stability and continuity in domestic and foreign policies. So you see here. So if अगर ये नहीं होता तो कोई भी गवर्नमेंट आता और कोई भी उनके हिसाब से, अगर मान लीजिए पहले अगर डीपीएसपी नहीं होता, अगर कोई कैपिटलिस्टिक पार्टी आता लाइक बीजेपी, ओके, दे वुड नॉट हैव प्रोमोटेड द वेलफेयर. वो लोग एमजी नरेगा जैसे स्कीम नहीं चलाता. ओके, इनफैक्ट उन्होंने आके ही बोला था कि एमजी नरेगा इज द बिगेस्ट फेलियर ऑफ कांग्रेस गवर्नमेंट, बट स्टिल दे आर कंटिन्यूइंग इट. और वो लोग, उन लोगों ने स्टेटमेंट ये बोला था कि वी वांट टू कंटिन्यू दिस इन ऑर्डर टू शो द फेलियर ऑफ कांग्रेस. अगर फेलियर ऑफ कांग्रेस ही है तो आप इतना पैसे खर्च करके फिर आप इसको क्यों चला रहे हो? Okay, so that was just to counter Congress, but even they know that they have to follow the DPSP, and you can see that though two different parties like Congress and BJP are not in favor with a particular scheme, but still they are continuing it. Okay, जैसे आज के टाइम में जैसे स्वच्छ भारत अभियान स्कीम है, it is nothing but the same, which is like the total sanitation program of Congress time period. Okay, skill development program भी कांग्रेस के टाइम पीरियड से बहुत सारे आजीविका स्कीम एंड ऑल इट वाज getting run by, but again by changing the name they are still continuing with the same policies. So that is what the stability and continuity in our policies, okay, at all levels, like political, economic, social, both at domestic and foreign level. So this is being maintained, and this also promotes a mature democracy. So DPSP का ये भी आपका एक बहुत अच्छा utility है. ठीक है, and these are also like what supplementary to fundamental rights, is it not? Because fundamental rights are protecting your civil and political rights, right? But DPSP are protecting your social and economic rights. So it is like supplementing your rights, and though these are not justiciable, but again these are fundamental to the governance of the government, right? Their implementation creates a favorable atmosphere for the full and proper enjoyment of fundamental rights by the citizens. Okay, because अगर सिर्फ आपको पॉलिटिकल राइट्स है लेकिन आपका इकोनॉमिक और सोशल राइट्स अगर नहीं होता तो पॉलिटिकल राइट्स रह के भी आपका कुछ फायदा नहीं होता. देयर वुड नॉट हैव बीन एनी मीनिंग, राइट? सो इसलिए एक फेवरेबल एटमोसफियर क्रिएट होता है. दे एनेबल द ऑपोजिशन टू एक्सरसाइज इन्फ्लुएंस एंड कंट्रोल ओवर द ऑपरेशंस ऑफ द गवर्नमेंट. ओके, मतलब क्या कि आप जो भी पार्टी रूल कर रहे हैं ना, ऑपोजिशन उनको बार बार काउंटर करेगा कि आप ये इंप्लीमेंट नहीं कर, आप वेलफेयर ऑफ द लोगों के लिए, आप वेलफेयर के लिए काम नहीं कर रहे हो, राइट? और ये ऑपोजिशन का काम ही होता है टू गाइड द रूलिंग पार्टी to implement their policies as per DPSP, ताकि maximum welfare हो किसका? Citizens of the country. Okay, so they serve as a crucial test for the performance of the government, is it not? क्योंकि अगर आप इसको implement नहीं करोगे तो you may not come to the government after 5 years. So it is also like a test of the performance of the government. Okay, so this is also utility we can talk about. They serve as common political manifesto. Okay, it is served as like a common political manifesto because common political manifesto क्या? Welfare of all. Okay, सबका साथ सबका विकास. So this is also like the utility of all. Okay, so I hope you have understood, and the next topic that this article that this chapter is talking about is about the conflict between the fundamental rights and directive principles of state policy. Okay, now this is what is a very, very interesting topic, but before we proceed again, we'll just take another 10 minutes or so to complete this chapter. All right, let me just ask you if there are any doubts if there are any doubts, because this is pretty much a big chapter and we are requiring almost around 2 hours or so. I hope you are liking it. Please do give your feedback about this class, whether it is able to meet your expectations. Okay, please do let me know if it is able to meet your expectations. Okay, whether you are understanding the things well, and whether you are developing the confidence for this chapter. Okay, because I believe that after this, whatever questions you'll face in DPSP, it will really become very, very easy for you to solve, whether it is of prelims or mains level. Okay, so I hope by after completing of this class, you all should practice a lot of MCQs on DPSP. Okay, whatever questions have come, you should try those MCQs. Okay, from the chapter of DPSP. Please do give your feedback in the comment section if you think that your expectations are met through this class, and if you think that your expectations are not met, you can even write that in the comment section. We'll take it as a positive criticism and we'll try to improve in the next classes. Okay, so because your feedbacks are really very important, and it matters a lot for us. It also do motivates us to take more classes and put more effort to it. So whatever you feel about this initiative, please do write in the comment section. If you think that this is going to help you, please write it about it in the comment section. And if you think that there needs to be something that needs to be improved, even you can write about it in the comment section. But please do drop a comment, everyone. Okay, those who are watching it out, please do write about your comment or your opinion or your feedback in the comment section. Okay, so moving ahead, uh, moving ahead, we need to discuss about the conflict. Okay, the conflict between the fundamental rights and the directive principles of state policy. Okay, so as I told you, as I gave you the example of 1951 about the reservation policy. Okay, as a reservation policy, there was this conflict between Article 15 and Article 46, because 15 was about fundamental rights and 46 was about DPSP. Okay, so so uh, I think there are certain comments. Okay, Raki is saying that the way you explain by viewing the practical situations, it is really helpful to analyze. Thank you, Raki. I'll try to do it more as much as it is possible. Okay, I'll try to like, you need to also follow the past year questions along with the topic wise, because that will actually help you to get a background about or the pattern of the questions that are getting asked in the examination, and will give you more confidence. Okay, so if I can share some past year questions with all of you, I think that will help you more. But as of now in this class, I'm not going to do that, but you can take it as a homework and you can find it out from any of the sources that past. You can just type past year questions in Google and you can find out those questions of the PSP chapter. Okay, and you can solve those questions, and if you get any mains related questions, you can even show me the answers in the WhatsApp groups, and I'll definitely give you a feedback upon it. All right, so uh, after that, like, we were discussing about this conflict, and we saw that in 1951 it was said that in order to implement DPSP, you can change fundamental rights, and that is why 15 clause 4 was being added. Okay, but after that, the government actually tried to misuse this. Okay, they were trying to change the fundamental rights, and it was actually became like a threat to the democracy of the country. Okay, and that is why in 1967, in a case of Golaknath case, okay, it was said that the fundamental rights will be sacrosanct in nature. Okay, and sacrosanct means what? Something sacred, you cannot touch it. Okay, can you touch God? You cannot touch God. Okay, so it was given the sacrosanct status. That means you cannot touch fundamental rights. अगर आपको DPSP भी implement करना है, तब भी आप fundamental right को amend नहीं कर सकते हो. You cannot amend the fundamental rights even if for the implementation of DPSP. Okay, again, so this was a conflict going on. Okay, this was a conflict going on between the DPSP chapter. Thank you, Nitismita. If you're loving the session, it will definitely boost me up to take more such sessions. So if you can see here that we discussed about the Golaknath case, okay, which where it was the fundamental rights were declared as the sacrosanct in nature. Okay, so what basically we are seeing here, it is that it is a conflict between the fundamental rights and DPSP, but it is a conflict between executive and legislature on one side and the judiciary on the other side. Okay, why? Because executive and legislature, if you talk about it, they are trying to implement, they are trying to change the fundamental rights by bringing certain amendments. Okay, but who is protecting the core nature or the basic nature of the fundamental rights? It will be judiciary. So ultimately we can see that it is like a conflict between the judiciary on one side and the executive and the legislature on the other side. Okay, so here, when in 1967 the Supreme Court declared that the fundamental rights are sacrosanct in nature and government cannot change it, cannot bring any amendments, then the government, obviously the executive and legislature, will not be silent, and they will again bring a 24th Amendment Act in 1971 and 25th Constitutional Amendment Act in 1971. Okay, what the 24th Amendment Act declared was that the Parliament has a right or the power to abridge or take away any of the fundamental rights by enacting constitutional amendment acts. The 25th Amendment Act inserted a new Article 31C, okay, within the fundamental rights chapter. Now what is this आर्टिकल 31C? ओके, सो आप देख सकते हो कि ये 31C के अंदर देयर विल बी फॉलोइंग टू प्रोविजंस दैट नो लॉ which seeks to implement the socialistic directive principles specified in Article 39B and C. We've already covered the 39B and C. Okay, so if you try to see about what is Article 39B and C, okay, so there you will see that the Article 39B is talking about equitable distribution of material resources. Okay, just we talked about it a bit sometime earlier. It is talking about what? Equitable, where I had explained you the concept of equitable. Okay, so equitable distribution of materials to all. So it is about this. And 39C was talking about prevention of concentration of wealth. Okay, concentration of wealth should not be happening. Okay, so this amendment, which was brought by the government, they were trying to say that this Article 39B and 39C, okay, अगर गवर्नमेंट इज ट्राइंग टू इम्प्लीमेंट दिस, फॉर एग्जांपल इक्विटेबिलिटी, मतलब आप देखो कि अगर लैंड टेनेंसी एक्ट या लैंड सीलिंग एक्ट गवर्नमेंट को इम्प्लीमेंट करना है, तो अगर इसको इम्प्लीमेंट करना है तो गवर्नमेंट को फंडामेंटल राइट्स चेंज करना पड़ेगा. व्हाई? बिकॉज वी नो दैट अर्लियर देयर वाज अ फंडामेंटल राइट व्हिच टॉक्ड अबाउट राइट टू प्रॉपर्टी, right, which talked about right to property. But now the right to property is no longer a fundamental right. It has been inserted in Article 300A and just has been made as a constitutional or legal right. ठीक है, बिकॉज अगर आपको लैंड टेनेंसी एक्ट, लैंड सीलिंग एक्ट इंप्लीमेंट करना है, सो यू सी दैट देयर इज अगेन अ कॉन्फ्लिक्ट बिटवीन फंडामेंटल राइट्स एंड डीपीएसपी. ठीक है, तो अगर आपको डीपीएसपी इंप्लीमेंट करना है जिसमें आपका आर्टिकल 39B और C बोलता है कि कॉन्सेंट्रेशन ऑफ वेल्थ नहीं हो सकता और आपको इक्विटेबल डिस्ट्रीब्यूशन ऑफ मटेरियल्स करना है, सो वहां पे आपको फंडामेंटल राइट्स वायलेट करना पड़ेगा. बिकॉज अगर आपको किसी से जमीन छीन के लेके जाके आप किसी और को उसको डिस्ट्रीब्यूट करोगे, तो आप किसी का राइट टू प्रॉपर्टी भी वायलेट कर रहे हो अंडर फंडामेंटल राइट्स, बिकॉज एट दैट टाइम राइट टू प्रॉपर्टी वाज अ फंडामेंटल राइट. ठीक है, सो सिंस on one side, in order to implement DPSP, you are violating fundamental right, and 67 में सुप्रीम कोर्ट ने बोल दिया कि आप फंडामेंटल राइट को चेंज नहीं कर सकते हो, मतलब आप राइट टू प्रॉपर्टी को नहीं लेके जा सकते हो, तो गवर्नमेंट वाज एट अ डायलेमा. तो गवर्नमेंट ने बोला, फिर से एक अमेंडमेंट लाया कि अगर 39B और C को इम्प्लीमेंट करना है, ठीक है, और अगर उसमें फंडामेंटल राइट्स कॉन्ट्रीविन होता है, ठीक है, इक्वलिटी बिफोर लॉ आर्टिकल 14 हो या आर्टिकल 19 हो, तो उस टाइम पे आपका क्या होगा कि आर्टिकल 19 प्रोटेक्शन ऑफ 6 राइट्स, ओके, ऑल दिस, आर्टिकल 31C राइट टू प्रॉपर्टी, ओके, सो दैट इज आर्टिकल 31 राइट टू प्रॉपर्टी जो था, सो दैट मे बी वायलेटेड. ओके, तो मतलब क्या हुआ आप देखो, 1951 में क्या बोला कि डीपीएसपी इज सुपीरियर टू फंडामेंटल राइट्स, इज इट नॉट? बिकॉज फंडामेंटल राइट्स आप चेंज कर सकते हो डीपीएसपी इंप्लीमेंट करने के लिए. ठीक है, फिर से 67 में क्या हुआ, फंडामेंटल राइट्स ऊपर आ गया, because fundamental rights was given the sacrosanct nature कि आप fundamental rights change नहीं कर सकते हो, whether आपको DPSP implement करना है या जो भी करना है, is it not? Okay, so after that again in 1971, again 1971 में फिर से आप देखो कि फिर से DPSP ऊपर आ गया, देन एफआर. लेकिन इस बार कुछ स्पेसिफिक आर्टिकल्स है, नॉट एंटायर, कि सिर्फ ओनली 39B एंड C इंप्लीमेंट करने के लिए आप आर्टिकल 14, 19, 31 ये सब रिमूव लेके जा सकते हो, कि राइट टू इक्वलिटी नहीं भी होगा, राइट टू प्रॉपर्टी नहीं होगा, चलेगा, लेकिन आपको इंप्लीमेंट कर सकते हो. ये गवर्नमेंट ने लाया. ठीक है, सो आफ्टर दैट second provision कि no law containing a declaration for giving effect to such policy shall be questioned in any court on the ground that it does not give effect to such policy. ठीक है, तो आप देखिए गवर्नमेंट ने बहुत बढ़िया से एक अमेंडमेंट लाया कि इवन सुप्रीम कोर्ट also cannot question even if कि 1967 में उन्होंने बोला कि आप फंडामेंटल राइट्स को टच नहीं कर सकते हो, लेकिन 1971 का जो कॉन्स्टिट्यूशनल अमेंडमेंट एक्ट था 24th एंड 25th, उसमें सरकार ने ये बोल दिया कि अगर हम 39B और 39C को इंप्लीमेंट करने जा रहे हैं, ठीक है, तब अगर फंडामेंटल राइट्स वायलेट हो भी जाता है तो कोई कोर्ट हमें क्वेश्चन नहीं कर सकता है, ठीक है। तो सरकार के पास या एग्जीक्यूटिव या लेजिस्लेचर के पास फिर से पावर आ गया फंडामेंटल राइट को चेंज करके डीपीएसपी इंप्लीमेंट करने के लिए, ठीक है। लेकिन उसके बाद सुप्रीम कोर्ट इस बार चुप नहीं बैठेंगे ऑब्वियसली, तो सुप्रीम कोर्ट ने एक नया केस में, केशवानंद भारती केस 1973 में, दो नया चीज लाया, एंड दैट इज योर जुडिशियल रिव्यू एंड बेसिक स्ट्रक्चर डॉक्ट्रिन, ओके। और उन्होंने ये बोला कि अगर, ठीक है, वी विल कंसीडर इट कि आप डीपीएसपी इंप्लीमेंट करने के लिए फंडामेंटल राइट चेंज कर रहे हो, ठीक है, लेकिन अगर आप बेसिक स्ट्रक्चर डॉक्ट्रिन, मतलब जो बेसिक फीचर है कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन का, उसको अगर चेंज कर रहे हो, then we can do judicial review even if it is to implement 39B or 39C. We don't care, we can question the validity of the law, ठीक है। so this was again, so मतलब क्या हुआ, मतलब फिर से 1973 में फिर से आपका क्या हो गया, आपका फंडामेंटल राइट्स ऊपर चला गया एंड डीपीएसपी नीचे आ गया, ठीक है। so you see that there is a conflict, one time DPSP is given more importance, other time fundamental rights is given more importance. 1967 again, in 1971 DPSP is getting more importance as compared to fundamental rights, again in 1973 fundamental rights is getting back the primary importance as compared to DPSP, ठीक है। फाइनली क्या होगा, फाइनली आप देखोगे कि अल्टीमेटली जाके जो मिनर्वा मिल्स केस आएगा, दैट इज आर्टिकल in 1980, it will say the final verdict that in this case whatever there's no one is supreme or no one is no one should get primary importance, there should be a harmonic balance, okay। आप देख सकते हो कि the Minerva Mills case 1980, Supreme Court also held that Indian Constitution is founded on the bedrock of the balance between FR and DPSP, ठीक है। ऐसा कोई नहीं है कि FR is more superior to DPSP और दोनों चाहिए, okay, for the upliftment or for the overall development of the country, to protect a healthy democracy, we need both, and there should be a harmonic balance between FR and DPSP. They together constitute the core of commitment to social revolution or social justice, okay। अगर हमें welfare करना है तो हमें दोनों protect करना है, not only the DPSP but at the same time FR also, okay। so to give absolute primacy to one over the other is to disturb the harmony of the constitution, okay। this is the final verdict, and iske baad this harmony and balance between the two is an essential feature of the basic structure। तो इसके बाद उन्होंने यही किया कि ये जो एफआर और डीपीएसपी का जो बैलेंस है, इसको ही उन्होंने बेसिक स्ट्रक्चर और द फिलोसफी ऑफ द कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन डिक्लेयर कर दिया। तो अभी कोई भी गवर्नमेंट या कोई जुडिशरी कैन नॉट वायलेट इट बाय गिविंग मोर प्राइमरी इंपॉर्टेंस टू एनी ऑफ द फंडामेंटल राइट्स और डीपीएसपी एट एनी कॉस्ट, ठीक है। सो आई होप यू आर understanding this part, and this is the final verdict of Minerva Mills case, which talked about your harmonic balance between DPSP and fundamental rights, ठीक है। उसके बाद in between this we get a table in, and that talks about the difference between FR and DPSP. Sometimes in mains you can directly get this topic, okay, or this question, and let us quickly go through this table because it is important. These fundamental rights are negative in nature. Why? Because it is stopping or prohibiting the state from doing certain things, right? But directive principles are positive in nature. I had already explained to you in the starting of the class, ठीक है। उसके बाद obviously FR are justiciable, but they are non-justiciable, ठीक है। We have already understood. They aim at establishing political democracy. DPSP aim at establishing social and economic democracy. फिर हमने डिस्कस किया FR का लीगल सैंक्शन है, राइट, बट इसका मॉरल और पॉलिटिकल सैंक्शन है। देन एफआर प्रमोट करता है क्या, वेलफेयर ऑफ इंडिविजुअल, बट डीपीएसपी पूरा कम्युनिटी का, SC ST, isn't it, पूरा वुमेन का, पूरा वर्कर्स का, yes or no? So it is promoting the welfare of the community at a societal level, but FR is talking about an individual level, okay। Then FR इंप्लीमेंट करने के लिए आपको कोई अलग से लॉ नहीं चाहिए, ठीक है, लेकिन डीपीएसपी इंप्लीमेंट करने के लिए आपको अलग से लॉ चाहिए। इसीलिए प्रधानमंत्री आवास योजना हो, ठीक है, एमजी नरेगा हो, एमजी नरेगा एक्ट है, ठीक है। सो वी नीड अ लॉ टू इंप्लीमेंट द डीपीएसपी, ऑलराइट। देन कोर्ट्स आर बाउंड टू डिक्लेयर अ लॉ वायलेटिव ऑफ एनी ऑफ द फंडामेंटल राइट्स इज अनकॉन्स्टिट्यूशनल एंड, तो मैंने आपको ये एक्सप्लेन किया था इन द बिगिनिंग ऑफ द क्लास कि अगर कोर्ट आर बाउंड, ठीक है, अगर कोई लॉ fundamental rights violate करता है तो court have to declare it as okay violative or null and void. But court cannot declare a law violative अगर कोई law directive principles को follow नहीं कर रहा है, ठीक है. लेकिन they can make it declare a law as valid if they are if that law is using DPSP to give any effect or directive to the government. I had explained it to you. I hope you have understood this. ठीक है. So इसमें मैंने आपको NJSC का एग्जाम्पल दिया था. Getting it? So this is, there are 7 differences in the book. So please go through it. These are all easy. We have already understood all the points. So there is nothing for you to get confused. All right. Now the second last topic talks about the implementation of directive principles. Okay, this is a very, very easy topic. I want all of you to give a thorough reading of this. Okay, that how the government is implementing the DPSP through different laws and everything. Okay, so you can see that all states have passed land reform laws, okay, to implement what? 39C. कि concentration of wealth नहीं होना चाहिए, land tenancy reforms for security. So then minimum wages act, you see this minimum wages act of 936, payment of bonus act. Okay, so all is factories act क्यों? Because हमें just and human conditions promote करना है for whom? For the workers. Which article? Article 43. ठीक है. So workmen's compensation act, ये सारे लॉ आप देखो. मैटरनिटी बेनिफिट एक्ट, विच आर्टिकल? 42, मैटरनिटी बेनिफिट. ठीक है. इक्वल रिन्यूमरेशन एक्ट, मतलब इक्वल पे फॉर इक्वल वर्क, ओके, बिटवीन मैन एंड वुमेन, आर्टिकल 39, राइट. सो यू सी दैट ऑल आर्टिकल्स को इंप्लीमेंट करने के लिए हमारे पास बहुत सारे एक्ट्स है. ठीक है, आप इसको गो थ्रू करिए. ये देखा आप बहुत सारे स्कीम, कम्युनिटी डेवलपमेंट प्रोग्राम, ठीक है, मिनिमम नीड्स प्रोग्राम, इंटीग्रेटेड रूरल डेवलपमेंट. यू कैन जस्ट टेक सम एग्जांपल्स एंड कोट इट इन योर मेंस आंसर्स. यू विल गेट वेरी गुड, beautiful marks. Wildlife Protection Act of 1972, Forest Conservation Act of 1980. What are these? These are all article, which article? 48, right? 48A, to protect the environment and the wildlife. Okay, so you can see all this. Then in fact your 1992 में जो 73rd Constitutional Amendment आया था, क्यों? Because Article 40 को implement करना था पंचायती राज. So कैसे implement होता है DPSP का? By bringing these laws. SC/ST का protection. ओके, हमारे पास ये प्रोटेक्शन ऑफ सिविल राइट्स इन 1976, शेड्यूल कास्ट एंड शेड्यूल ट्राइब्स प्रिवेंशन ऑफ एट्रोसिटीज एक्ट ऑफ 1989. दिस इज टू फॉर विच आर्टिकल? 46. ओके, हमारे पास ये एक्ट है. देन वी हैव ऑल दिस अमेंडमेंट टू प्रमोट नेशनल कमीशन फॉर शेड्यूल कास्ट एंड शेड्यूल ट्राइब्स. ये सब हम कॉन्स्टिट्यूशनल बॉडीज में पढ़ सकते हैं इन दिस पॉलिटी लेक्चर इटसेल्फ. ठीक है, सो यू सी दैट दिस इज हाउ द DPSPs are being implemented. Okay, then we have an Ancient and History Monument and Archaeological Sites Remain Act. क्यों? Because it talks about Article 49, protection of monuments. Okay, so you see that all these acts have been implemented in order to implement or safeguard the directive principles of state policy. Okay, the last topic, that is what we discussed till now. It talks about the directions. Okay, by whom? This is the summary. Directions by whom? By the Constitution. To whom? To the states. For whom? It is for the welfare of the citizens. Yes, so whatever we studied from Article 36 to 51, these are direction by the Constitution to the states for the welfare of the citizens. Okay, but these are also certain rights, but these rights are not justiciable in the court of law. Similarly, fundamental rights are also what? These are rights, but there are also directions given to the state not to do certain things, not to discriminate people on the ground of caste, for example. All right, so whatever we have discussed till now, that there's whatever directions we got, there are directions within part 4. But in the Constitution of India, there are also certain directives which are outside part 4, and that is what we simply need to know. Okay, so first you see that apart from DPSP, that is part 4, there are some other directives contained in other parts of the Constitution, and they are claims of SCs and STs to services. Okay, the claims of the members of scheduled caste and scheduled tribes shall be taken into consideration consistently with the maintenance of efficiency of administration in the making of appointments of services. Okay, of the unit that is mentioned in Article 335 of Part 16. Okay, because it deals with special provisions for special section of the people, and that is why in Article 338 also we have National Commission for Scheduled Caste. 338 we have National Commission for Scheduled Tribes, and recently in the current affairs we have 338B, which talks about National Commission for Backward Classes. ओके, सो SC ST का जो प्रोटेक्शन मेजरली लेना है, सो वो DPSP के बाहर है, एंड इट इज ऑल्सो डायरेक्शन टू द गवर्नमेंट, एंड दैट इज वी आर डिस्कसिंग अबाउट इट. Then instruction in mother tongue, okay, that is Article 350A. Okay, in part 17, it also talks about that it shall be the endeavor of every state and every local authority within the state to provide adequate facilities for instruction of mother tongue at the primary stage of education to children belonging to linguistic minority groups. नहीं तो minority का क्या होगा, वो उनका mother tongue language will be extinct. ठीक है, तो ये भी आपका एक डायरेक्शन दिया हुआ है टू द स्टेट्स. एंड देन डेवलपमेंट ऑफ हिंदी लैंग्वेज, बिकॉज इट इज द ऑफिशियल लैंग्वेज ऑफ द कंट्री, इट इज द नेशनल लैंग्वेज ऑफ द कंट्री, एंड it is also discussed in 351, and there is also it shall be the duty of the union, that is the state, to promote the spread of Hindi language. So this is also direction, but these directions are what are outside the DPSP chapter. So the above directives are also non-justiciable. Okay, these are also non-justiciable, so the state is not bound to do it, but it should follow it. Okay, there is a moral obligation or a political sanction, not a legal sanction still. Okay, however, they are also given equal importance and attention by judicial on the ground that all parts of the constitution must be read together. मतलब सारे parts को एक साथ पढ़ के उनको implement करना state का responsibility है. Okay, so the next table that it talks about is about all the articles, and we will discuss all the articles. Okay, so you can just give a reading to it, and it will be a good revision for all of you. Okay, for example, if we just revise it quickly, Article 36 talks about the definition of state, and we talked about it about the union parliament, union government, state parliament, state assemblies, state governments, local governments like panchayats, municipalities, and any other authorities or bodies which are working under the government of India, inside India or outside India, all will be under the definition of state. 37 talks about application of principles contained in this part. मतलब ये DPSP आपका कोई ये enforceable नहीं है, but it is fundamental to the governance. 38 talks about what? That secure social order. It talks about the welfare. 39 में आपको पता है बहुत सारे principles थे, okay, of policy to be followed by the state, mainly to promote the welfare, equal redistribution of resources, ठीक है, उसके बाद to stop the concentration of wealth and so on. Even 39 में एक आपका जो amend हुआ था to promote the welfare of the children, okay, or the youths. So वो भी आपका 39 में था, ठीक है. उसके बाद 39 ये talks about equal justice and free legal aid. 40 पंचायत, right. 41 right to work, education and to public assistance in certain cases. Certain cases में हम लोगों ने देखा कि जो unemployed है, जो sick है, ठीक है, जो differently able citizens है, ठीक है, उनको सरकार ने एक नया नाम दिया दिव्यांग citizens, ठीक है. 42 talks about just and human conditions of work and maternity relief. 43 talks about the workers. 43A talks about the participation of workers in management of industries. सब हमने cover किया. 43B again, it is of 97 Constitutional Amendment Act, right? So it talks about what? Promotion of cooperative societies, Gandhian philosophy again, okay? Uniform Civil Code, liberal intellectual, okay? 45 talks about early childhood care, again liberal intellectual, ठीक है? Promotion of education and economic SC/ST, तो Gandhian होगा obviously 46 में, ठीक है? 15 verses 46 जो हमने starting of the class में देखा था. 47 again talks about nutrition, तो nutrition state का है तो socialism भी होगा, okay, और standard of living and improve public health, ठीक है. तो और इसमें आपका वो intoxicating drinks वगैरह भी था, तो वो भी गांधीयन प्रिंसिपल में आएगा. 47. 48 में agriculture and animal husbandry in scientific and modern lines, तो it will come in liberal and intellectual philosophy, ठीक है. 48 talks about environment and safeguarding of forest and wildlife, तो ये liberal intellectual में आएगा, नया modern concept है. 49 again talks about monument, तो ये भी liberal intellectual में आएगा, ठीक है. 50 talks about separation of judiciary, Montesquieu, liberal intellectual. 51 again international peace security, तो ये भी liberal intellectual, ठीक है. सो आई होप यू विल रिमेंबर दिस इज वेरी इजी. आप 2-3 बार रिवाइज कर लो, आराम से आपको ये चैप्टर कंफर्टेबल जोन में आप आ जाओगे, ठीक है. सो दिस इज वी कम टू एन एंड with this. So I hope you have enjoyed the class and I was able to justify and meet your demands. Okay, we have some certain feedbacks like Smita, thank you for loving the session. So Smita is saying that yes, it's very good and helpful as you discuss all the related cases with DPSP. Thank you very much. I'll try to do it more. Ritumani is talking about live classes are always helpful, sir. Thank you very much, Ritumani. I'll try to take more live classes. Sangila is really adding more energy to study, sir, by seeing your effort. Thank you very much, Sangila. I'll show more effort to all of you. Rakhi, you are gaining confidence in DPSP. Thank you so much, Rakhi. Like, if I am able to gain your confidence, definitely it will be much motivation, giving me a lot of motivation again to put in more effort and energy in the next classes. So I want again, as we do it every time, Just let me know which topic you need in the next lecture of polity. Okay, just let me know the next lecture of polity that all of you want, because right now around 20 students are there in live, and I want to know which topic you want me, because I always want to give an advantage to the students who stay till the last. Okay, those who live in between, maybe because of various reasons, maybe because of internet or any other reason, but I will always give an advantage to the students who will stay till last. Please let me know which topic you want me to cover in the next session. Thank you, Sahira. Thank you. It's a pleasure to me to know your feedback. Please let me know the topic. I think last class there was a topic that after DPSP someone asked me to discuss a particular topic and I forgot that. What was it? I think it was a precedent, or yes, a precedent. But yes, Susmita is talking about the proceedings of parliament. Okay, we can take up the entire parliament chapter. Okay, Jashita, thank you so much for your kind words. Samson, the class is really helpful. Thank you, Samson. Thank you so much for your kind words. Raki, as FR is relevant to DPSP, we can go for it as DPSP. And yes, Raki, we can go to FR as DPSP and FR is both related. And as I've already explained a lot of things regarding FR also. So we can maybe quickly wrap up FR. Okay, but yes, Parliament, yes, definitely. I would like to take up the Parliament chapter, Parinita. I will definitely go at Sangrila, Samson. Everyone is talking about Parliament. So let me just decide, okay, in the next class, if we just talk about FR quickly, okay, and then in the third class, we can go ahead with the Parliament. Okay, so yes, don't worry, I will definitely take up parliament in the next chapter. Okay, but let me just see if I need to do the FR, because FR is also a very very important part of your syllabus. Okay, so we'll definitely take it up. Okay, but parliament is also very important, so I will take up parliament in the next few classes. But Parliament, we won't be able to complete in one class because it is a very, very lengthy chapter. I think we'll need at least 2, 3 classes minimum to complete Parliament. Because when I teach in details, as you've seen. I cannot do the I cannot do a partial teaching, okay, because it will be an injustice to the students community. So we will have to give certain time, but I think it will develop your fundamental concepts about the polity. And I request you, all of you, to revise the chapter today night itself. Okay, yes, Jashita, I will definitely take up the center state relations. Okay, I will definitely do that. Yes, FR will be easy if we start with after DPSP. Thank you, Lithima. If since you found the class helpful, I will try to definitely take up next FR, and after that I'll take up the Parliament, and then we'll go to the center-state relations. Okay, so this will be the upcoming classes for Indian polity. All right. Thank you. I think K Boro is Kritina. I think the class has been very helpful. Thank you very much for your feedback. Jagriti, thank you so much. Hearing from you after a long time. Thank you for your kind words. I hope your preparation is going good, and I need to see results from all of you guys very soon. Okay. So I think we can stop it here. It's time for dinner. Go and have your dinner, and please revise the chapter before you go to sleep. And let's meet tomorrow again at the same time. Maybe we will announce you the time in the groups. Okay. Thank you, Fami, for your feedback. Yes, definitely. You all need to make me proud one day. I am waiting for that day. Okay. Thank you so much, everyone. It was lovely interacting with all of you. Thank you so much, Susmita. Let's meet next, that is tomorrow at the same time. Probably we'll let you know in the WhatsApp groups. Till then, bye bye, and stay safe, and good night.